Do you ever feel like you have to shit when you get hit in the nuts?
Yes, I want to puke and shit and piss at the same time.
Like for me, I have this overwhelming feeling like I have a shit cramp when I get hit in the balls.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "That's weird." I'm like, "Wait, so you don't feel like you have to poop too when you take?"
Sometimes if it hits me just right, yeah.
Dude, every time it hits me, it feels like a shit cramp, and it immediately triggers pooping. Like I don't feel the feeling of wanting to throw up.
Yeah.
I feel the feeling of wanting to shit.
No, I feel like the puke and shit, but.
Well, we're back for another episode, and I have a guest today. Welcome, Mike. You've been wanting to do this for a long time.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Yet you always have something that you have to be doing. What was it? You had drill last time, and before that, you're like, I've got, hemorrhoids, and I can't fucking attend, or some shit.
No big deal.
So, Mike, so for those that don't know, I used to work with Mike when I worked at good old Sharton Peterson.
Gotta love that place.
Yeah, no one does. But so I used to work with him. I was a pipe fitter. You were a service guy.
Yep.
HVAC service guy.
Yep.
And then now you're a veteran services officer.
Yes, I am. Been doing that for...
Getting my disability rating going.
Hey, hopefully we can get you up, huh? I've been doing that for, I don't know, 8 months now, something like that.
Do you like it?
I enjoy it. Definitely a change of pace. Working behind a desk is something I never imagined myself doing, and now I do it every single day.
I feel that because me going in IT, the first thing, I actually did talk to an instructor about this. I'm like, I'm not so sure if I'm cut out for office life because I don't know what I'm going to be like in the office. But he said, luckily, most of the work you can do is from home.
It's definitely a change of pace. Put on a few extra pounds since I've been doing it.
Yeah.
And it's not like working in like a blue collar field anymore.
No, I mean, I did have a good time. I just didn't like the politics of a lot of it.
Yeah.
And, it really did put a bad taste in my mouth, especially with the union.
Yeah.
And the union, come to find out, unions don't give a fuck about you if you're in the military.
Yeah.
Especially if you're still serving, they would rather you didn't do that.
Well, especially where we were,
Yeah, they were like, well, we would like you to not. And it's like, you can't tell me that I can't.
When it came time for getting like a raise and go to the apprenticeship school or anything like that, the first question I was asked was, are you going to re-enlist? And I said, I don't know yet. And that kind of...
It was the same for me.
Yeah.
Same exact thing.
And they're like, well, we prefer if you didn't. I'm like...
I was waiting for my next review with them so that I could actually sneak a voice recorder in there with them.
I probably should have.
And then I was going to use that. I was like, okay, cool. If you keep saying this to me, I'm going to fucking record you saying this. And that never happened. They just laid me off. And I was just like, okay.
Yeah, that was probably like, all right, time for you to get the fuck out.
It was the same for one of the plumbers. The plumbers was a reservist.
Okay.
With Illinois. And he fucking could not get his plumbing apprenticeship. He no longer works there now because he got hurt on an accident.
Okay.
And he was out of work for a bit because of it. But he was in the reserves, and they kept dangling the apprenticeship over in front of him like a carrot for 4 years.
Yeah.
And they never gave it to him. They finally gave it to him, and then he got hurt, and they said, yeah, we're taking your apprenticeship away. And he's like, what the fuck, dude? You made me do this for all these years, and then...
Yeah, there's a lot of favoritism, involved, too. They gave me my apprenticeship to a 18-year-old kid.
I mean, they gave my apprenticeship to someone that started 2 months in, and I'd already been there for almost a year.
Yeah. I mean, bullshit. But...
And I mean, some people would say it was probably like, you probably just weren't, working hard enough. Like, no, I was crushing myself trying to get this apprenticeship, and they used my military service to keep that from happening.
Yep, I felt the same exact way. And in reality, the guy that got it over me, his uncle worked for the company.
That's very much how it works in the trades. It's all about who you know.
Yeah, I mean, but again, my brother-in-law at the time worked there too. But they ended up giving it to the 18-year-old instead of me, and I was going to have a kid in 2 weeks from the time when it happened. So that's when I started looking elsewhere and got out of there.
Yeah, fuck that place.
Yeah.
But this is your first gaming podcast experience, so we're going to talk about some topics today. And not a lot of topics happened over a little bit, but I did make some YouTube videos on this.
Okay.
So first things first, have you ever heard of Google Stadia?
Sounds like the game system Google is trying to make.
It's a game system that Google did make, but it was based off of the cloud gaming system. So basically, instead of a console, you played on the cloud. So all your games that you paid for were stored on the cloud, and you could play it anywhere. All you had to do was have the little bit of hardware that it came with, which is basically it was like an Amazon Fire Stick almost.
Okay.
And a controller.
All right, what does it plug into?
It plugs into your it's Wi-Fi. So you just hook it up to your TV or whatever you're playing it on, and you could play. And then I think even on certain mobile devices, you could use Google Stadia's cloud for gaming.
Okay.
Now, cloud gaming has always been a really cool concept because it's like it takes away, obviously with the shortages of consoles right now, it takes away the burden of hardware for like PCs and consoles, and you could play with anything, anywhere, as long as you had the device to do so. And they were reasonably priced, and you could hook them up to anything. But the problem was when Google launched it, it was dog shit. Like the latency was horrible. So every time the input lag was insane because of the latency. There were no games really to play. There was like a handful.
Yeah.
And some of the games that they had, the AAA titles, one being Destiny 2.
Okay.
They were charging full price for it at the time. And then they also had subscriptions. So you had it was a subscription-based thing where you paid a subscription, and then a lot of games came with it. And at the time, not a lot of games came with it. But you were paying essentially $40 to $60 for Destiny 2, but it was free to play at the time. And everyone's like, why would I pay for a game that's free? Eventually, they did switch that to free to play on all subscriptions. But the problem was like the performance issues with it were too little too late, and it never really caught on. And Google is very famous about starting something and then killing it off.
Why wouldn't they test it, make sure everything's good to go before they actually release it?
I don't know.
I
think they claim that they did, but, honestly, ultimately what really killed it, because technical issues you can fix along the way.
Yep.
It was more of the business decisions behind it that really killed it.
Yeah.
One was the platform had very few titles to offer, and they were talking about making exclusive titles for it, and those weren't even out yet. And their business model of basically what they were doing is that they were just trying to buy indie studios to make games. And eventually they just shut down their in-house studios. And then they didn't want to do single player games anymore. In fact, one of the things that was brought up after this was that, do you know who Hideo Kojima is?
No idea.
Have you ever played Metal Gear?
Yes, when I was a kid.
Death Stranding, all those other games?
Yep.
Silent Hill?
I've played it.
He made those games.
Yeah.
So he was working on a new single player game exclusively for Stadia.
Okay.
And then the owner of Google said no, because single player games are not what he wants, but he was being picky. And it was like, you can't afford to be picky.
No, especially with a new concept of game.
This system had been out since 2019, 2020.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even know.
And the worst part was, it was a perfect scenario for a thing like this because new consoles were hard to get. It was a pandemic, so nobody was going anywhere.
Yep.
And you had a console that you were creating that worked on a cloud. You had everything in your you had the best case scenario for you, and you still fucking dropped the ball.
Yep.
So as a result, everyone's wondering what's going to happen to Stadia. They're going to shut down, and Google was like, no, we're not. And guess what? It was announced last week that Google is shutting down Stadia. And it's actually kind of funny because back in July, Google made a response saying, because this was in July, they shut down their in-house studios creating Stadia exclusive titles.
Yep.
And everyone said, that's the first sign that you're shutting this down. And then Google said, we're not shutting it down. Then they did.
And it sucks people that did buy it.
They're getting a refund.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Well, that's good at least.
They're getting refunds on games purchased in the Stadia store and for the hardware that they purchased.
I mean, it's only going to be active till January 18th, too. So,
well, another red flag about it was also they were selling the tech to other companies like Bungie and Peloton and stuff. They were selling the cloud tech to other companies, and they got rid of their game studios, and it was just a matter of what the fuck. So we're going to talk about Google shutting down, but we're also going to talk about how the studios that did have contracts with Stadia to create Stadia first party games.
Yep.
none of them knew about this happening until the day it was announced that they were shutting down.
Oh, really?
So a lot of tweets were going out from a lot of different studios saying that we were working on a game. We literally 2 weeks ago signed a contract with Stadia, and they did this.
Yeah.
And they found out through Twitter.
Pretty professional of them, you know?
Yeah, super professional. In fact, this has happened in another case, and I can't exactly remember what the fuck it was, where people were working on a game, and the company was shutting it all down, and they weren't even told till the fucking day of that they were shutting down. So I can't remember what
it's
it
like
is.
A stab in the back, you know?
Huge stab in the back. I mean, it's Google. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah, you know, but puts a sour taste in, you know, other companies' mouths and want to work with a new upcoming, you know, concept of gaming. You know, why would you want to try and put yourself out there and waste all this money in development just to get nowhere?
I know. It's an unfortunate thing. We're going to dive into it when we get back to it. Another thing, so we got some Activision news, which is something that we haven't had in about a month. And sorry, Nelson, that you're not here, but you didn't reply to my text about recording this weekend. So you're missing the Activision news, homie, because we always had, like, every month this company is doing something stupid.
Yeah.
And some of the biggest news, there's actually two things. One is kind of interesting, and the other one is very on par for the company. One, the interesting one, is Frances Townsend, who is the chief compliance officer, is stepping down from Activision. Now, you don't know who this person is. Frances Townsend was a lady. She actually used to work for the Bush administration.
Okay.
Back when the whole whistleblower thing came out about the workplace misconduct going on, the sexual harassment, the frat boy culture, and all that shit was happening. She was hardcore, she sent out a statement basically bashing people for coming forward. And obviously it did not bode well.
Yeah, didn't end well.
And everyone was like really pissed off at her about it. And yeah, now she's stepping down. We're going to dive more into that. Let me fix your camera because it's looking too much on a side profile. We're going to pause. I love the fact that OBS has a pause feature because I don't have to go and edit the stops. I can just pause it and then fucking do whatever.
Yeah, that's nice.
So, yeah, we're going to talk about her stepping down. The next thing we're going to talk about with Activision is it has come to light that Activision... So unionizing in the gaming industry has been a really big topic of discussion because of the workplace misconduct, the bad pay, the fact that Activision will often use, Activision kind of like started the whole movement to they didn't intentionally start this movement, but there's been a lot of push to get game developers in a union. Mostly because of the mistreatment and the pay gaps and shit.
Yep.
And the fact that a lot of publishers will use contracted developers for like the quality assurance testing and all the other stuff. And then as soon as the game launches or gets ready to launch, they lay off everybody. And Activision is famous for doing this, especially after having an insanely profitable year.
Yeah.
They will lay off like a bunch of people. And these people are working for their chance to stay with the development studio that they're working for. And they just laid it off. In fact, back in 2019, Activision made like $9 billion that year, and they laid off 8% of its workforce.
Was that when, Modern Warfare came out?
No, that was when Black Ops 4 was already out. It was right before Modern Warfare came out.
I can only imagine how much of a,
So their earnings were from 2018 going into 2019.
Yeah.
And they had one of their most profitable years in existence, and they laid off almost 10% of their workforce. So their reason was we have taken this time to reflect on other ways, way we could profit more. So they laid off all these people. So it's like you made the most profit you've ever had, and then you laid off all these fucking people, and they do it almost every year.
Yep.
So the unionizing thing has been a really big push, and finally Raven Software, one of the Call of Duty developers, are the first ones to have a union.
It's not a bad idea.
No, but the problem is the labor board has shown that Activision has been withholding raises from the union workers. So the union workers are not getting raises by Activision, everybody else is.
Yeah.
So the ones that chose to unionize, and they also brought in union busting firms to prevent the unionizing from happening.
Yep.
And basically doing intimidation tactics and stuff to keep people from voting yes. Obviously, it didn't work.
No.
Good, and I'm glad it didn't work.
Oh, 100%.
Sometimes, and this is one of those cases where I'm like, having a union is a good thing.
You know, you've been hearing stuff like this from Blizzard and Activision for years, though.
I know.
And finally, something's starting to happen.
In cases like this, it's like you need a union to protect your workers. I mean, obviously, in our experiences with unions wasn't really that great because it was a good old boy thing.
Yeah.
But in cases like this, where a union is needed to protect the workers from the publisher, from the actual company, to prevent shit from like this from happening. And now I can't wait to hear what their union rep has to say about it.
Well, because it's all bullshit. How are you going to make so much money and then just like, all right, well, we don't really need you guys.
We're going to raise the pay for everybody but the ones that voted yes.
Exactly.
And by the way, Raven's out of Madison.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Oh, that was the other thing. That's what started this. So, the one that really set this home for the unionizing. So, a lot of developers and shit got hired with Raven, and they relocated to Madison. And they were told that, like, we'll help you with your relocation and stuff. They were basically guaranteed a job.
Yeah.
And within 6 months of being there, they were all laid off. And they're like, we moved our whole lives to be here.
Yeah.
And then they reassured them, oh yeah, you guys, it's fine. Everything's fine. You're not gonna lose your job. And then within 6 months, they were laid off. So imagine like moving to be with Martin Peterson and then they fucking lay you off.
Yeah, move halfway across country and now you have nothing left.
Exactly. But so another news. Have you heard of Skull and Bones?
Is that the new game that's supposed to be like?
It's a pirate game.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like Sea of Thieves, correct?
So it was originally supposed to be a Assassin's Creed Black Flag DLC or expansion.
Okay.
And they ended up putting a lot of money and resources into this, and the technology was outdated. So they decided to go ahead and make it its own game.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially a spinoff.
Yeah.
But it started development in 2013. It was announced in 2017. And in 2017, they said the game would come out in 2018. This game has been delayed 5 times now. In fact, the game was supposed to come out in November.
Okay.
And they delayed it to March of 23. And this is all coming off the tech testers saying this game is not ready.
But at least they're willing to do that instead of just releasing
now. I will.
a game that
Yes,
is
I agree with you. Having a delay is always better than launching a shitty product. But the problem is, it's Ubisoft. Ubisoft is not known for doing the best work when it comes to their fucking games because they stick with the same formula with every single game.
Yep.
And they also like to focus on their store. That's the other issue.
Yeah, it's just a money scheme.
So people are thinking that Sea of Thieves is going to be like this big open world pirate RPG.
You mean Skull and Bones?
What'd I say?
Sea of Thieves.
Yes, Skull and Bones. So Skull and Bones was supposed to, like, originally it was announced to be like an open world RPG for, being a pirate and shit.
Yeah.
And the gameplay that they did show back in July wasn't exactly that. It was all, you were locked into your ship.
Really?
And the only explorable places are the ports. So you can't actually get out of your ship. Even when you board another ship, it's just an animation. It's like it's a cutscene. You're not actually doing anything.
Huh.
You don't ever leave the ship.
Well, that sounds terrible. What's the point of that then?
So the pirate genre is kind of a niche thing as it is. I can see the naval combat really making it, its statement. Like basically it'll be just naval combat, like being what the game is. Now, that on one hand, that would be pretty cool, but we already have games that are like this, like World of Warships, and War Thunder.
Yeah, but if I'm playing a pirate game, and I
want to be a pirate.
Yeah, if I stop their ship from moving, I want to be able to board their ship and physically kill everybody on
I
the
want to
ship.
dig for treasure.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. I even brought this up in the video that I made about this. If you played Sea of Thieves and you can ever leave your ship, and except for going to a port, would you play it?
Not at all.
No. You wouldn't. I could see the naval combat being, if they could do it right, the naval combat will probably be popular for a little bit, I don't see it keeping people.
Now, can you free roam your ship?
You mean sail across all the seas?
I mean, while you're on your ship, can you get off of the
Yeah, you could walk
wheel?
around on your ship. You could.
You
There's like obviously
can't,
on ship exploration, but you
spoilers.
can't get off your ship. And even when you're harvesting, like in like resources, like when
Yep.
you're going to chop down trees, you literally park next to a tree, and then the tree just starts chopping itself down. I'll show you the video of it when we get to it. But essentially, the game is not looking like it's going to be what people think it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had hopes for it because I've kind of heard a little bit about it. I thought it sounded pretty cool.
It's funny because there's a
But-
long period of time where no one heard anything about it, where it's like they announced it and then never talked about it again.
Well, I heard about it maybe a few months ago. It's not like I knew about it since 2017. You know.
You heard about it a few months ago because of the reveal.
Yeah, that's probably why.
The reveal was something that there was leaked gameplay footage before, but the actual official reveal didn't happen until July. So up until that point, no one really knew what the game was. They only heard that Ubisoft is working on it, but other than that, they went radio silent for years. For fucking years. Because I even brought it up on an episode a couple years ago. I'm like, whatever happened to this game?
Well, here it
They
is.
talked about it like twice, and then
Yep.
we never heard from it again. Are they canceling it? And in fact, the way that apparently the game's development has been a nightmare because they've had to reboot it several times. One of the reboots was in 2020. So they rebooted the whole fucking game. Like, no, it was in 2020 or 2021. So they rebooted the whole fucking thing 2 years ago of what they wanted the game to be. So between the massive reboots, and by the way, that fifth delay that they just announced, that's the fifth official delay. Who knows how many times it's been delayed in house?
Yep.
So we're gonna talk about that. And you know, a lot of people aren't confident.
Oh,
I'm sure you know about Skyrim though.
Some of it.
Have you ever played it?
It's been since early days of Xbox 360.
Well, Bethesda has the biggest, hardest dick for fucking Skyrim because they keep re-releasing it on everything. I mean, Alexa has it too. So Skyrim Anniversary Edition is now on Switch, but they're charging $70 for it. Now imagine, if you will, paying $70 for a game that is 11 years old.
the thing is, people will buy it.
Actually, people that have bought it said that this game has a lot of problems on the Switch because it's got horrible lag. It's not stable. It's apparently a buggy ass mess on the Switch. It doesn't perform well on it. The Switch isn't a strong platform anyway.
No.
And having a game like Skyrim on there, I mean, like graphically, it's not like an amazing game, but at the same time, it's a huge game.
I mean, too, they also released, there's like mods now for it where you can play actual multiplayer together on Skyrim.
I know.
That's gotten pretty popular from my understanding.
It's just because you lean forward, so there's too much space, but it's fine. Just be comfortable. I know there's no arm rests on that.
I don't know who would do that. Some kind of savage. Or
I don't know. She's a monster.
Yeah, I mean,
She's a fucking monster, but I love her to death. So yeah, I mean, like, everyone's trying to wonder, like, what is the point of having a $70 price tag on this?
I've been seeing a couple games like that now.
Yeah, the new ones, sure.
But why are we breaking away from the 60 to the 70 now?
Because they said that, for new gen, like, it's just going to cost. It costs more, and apparently we've been long overdue for a price hike in games.
I mean, even when we were kids, it was $50 for a new game.
I know. I mean, Modern Warfare 2, the
It's
base version is $70.
I know I paid for it.
Have you not listened to anything I've said about pre-ordering shit?
You know, I don't ever pre-order anything, but
Oh, good. So you decided to pre-order the one game that I've been telling everyone don't pre-order.
I had a blast playing on the beta. What can I tell you?
It's not a beta; it's a demo.
Oh, whatever. It was fun.
I mean, it was fun, but you had a taste of it. You had it. Sure, you had fun with it. You had fun with that little taste that you had, but you don't. I would say like this: when you are buying a car,
Yep.
would you pay for the car before you ever drove it?
Well, no.
So why would you buy a game before you ever get to really play it?
I mean, I got to play it for a week.
That's not really playing it though. I mean, because you could there's the campaign, there's more multiplayer. You got Warzone 2 coming out.
Yep.
And the thing is with games, especially with games, is pre-ordering it incentivizes companies to continue to use that model. and release a game unfinished.
Yeah.
So you pre-order a game for this early access for like a week or two. But the truth is you're just paying to play it early. And the only things that what are the benefits of pre-ordering now is just stupid shit from the store and early access, which is honestly I consider early access the launch of the game. But the early access is the worst because you're playing the most buggy version of that game.
Well, to be honest with you, I was gonna buy it regardless.
I always tell people wait a week before you buy it. Wait to see what people are saying about it and then buy it.
I mean, the campaign, regardless, I'm excited for. I've always been big on the campaigns for Call of Duty,
That's fine. That's fair. I mean, you could still be excited for it, but I honestly still say wait until you buy it.
And the last time I pre-ordered a game was Battlefield 2042, and that was an absolute nightmare.
I told everyone not to pre-order that. No one listened to me.
Absolutely a nightmare.
I've been telling people even like with Vanguard and Cold War, because I knew about the development hell that both those games went through, and I said, don't pre-order this. Wait to buy it. And then they did it anyway, and they all said, I wish I didn't do that. And I said, how many times have you pre-ordered a game and then said, I wish I didn't do that? Almost
Once.
every fucking time that they pre-order a game.
One time.
Well, that's the one time that you did pre-order it, right? Now, before pre-orders used to be, it came with actual stuff.
Yeah.
Pre-ordering the game gave you remember back in Modern Warfare 2 when you pre-ordered it, you got this crazy box package with the night vision and shit. Now, pre-orders just give you stupid shit in the store.
Yeah.
And maybe like 2 weeks access before everyone else.
Well,
That's
and like
it.
Halo back in the day, pre-order Halo 3, you would get, I can't remember what it was, but I remember it was something cool that came with it too, but.
Back when pre-orders were like a thing, when they started, pre-ordering a game was a fun thing to do because you got a cool shit with it. Like a T-shirt, fucking RCXD, fucking remote control car for Black Ops.
Yeah.
You had the night vision for Modern Warfare 2. Battlefield had some other cool stuff. You got like dog tags and shit.
Yep. And
then you go to the midnight release and GameStop's got pizza and you can play the game in the fucking store while you're waiting. It was a good time. Now pre-ordering has no cool incentives. It's just like, here, we just want to use it as a fucking marketing ploy.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, it'll never stop, and they'll always be successful doing it, to be honest with you.
I know. So after we talk about Skyrim, we're going to talk about Overwatch. Overwatch 2 officially came out last week, and it did not launch well. First off, their launch was marred with getting DDoSed, so people were stuck either not getting in the game or waiting in server queues for 40,000 people deep, waiting hours to get in, and when they would finally start matchmaking, it would crash, and then they would be back in the queue. So they've been getting hit with multiple DDoS attacks over the course of the several days that it was out. Now, the other issue that people are having with it, and Blizzard did announce that they're reversing this decision, but if you had a prepaid phone, you were not allowed to play this game. Now, it's not a mobile game.
Huh.
But because of their two-factor authentication, if you had a prepaid phone number, it would not work for the two-factor. So if you had a prepaid phone, they even said you need a postpaid phone. You can't access Overwatch 2 if you have a prepaid phone. So people are like, so I'm too fucking poor for you to play your game because I have to use a prepaid phone?
Yeah.
So if you had like Cricket Wireless or anything like that, you were not playing this game. They
Why?
because they said it was a security issue. Now, I guess on one hand, yes, like people using burner phones to create fake accounts to hack and shit.
Yeah.
That's one thing. But the other thing was you're gating off a certain group of people that want to play the game, but they can't afford a phone. And this brought the meme that Blizzard said back when they announced Diablo Immortal. Do you guys not have phones? That's what they literally said to everybody when they announced that it was a mobile game, and everyone was like, what the fuck? And like, do you not have phones? Everyone has phones. And now they took that to a whole other level. It's like, do you not have expensive phones?
Yeah. Like,
so
heinous.
with that whole launch being shit, a lot of people are also pissed off at the fact that a lot of the new heroes are locked behind a battle pass.
Of course it is.
So everyone that's been playing Overwatch 2 is saying that like there is no reason for this to be in Overwatch 2 because it's the same game, same maps, same heroes, same everything. They just took more things away. So like your ranks from up until this point have been deleted. They reduced the amount of players in matches from 6v6 to 5v5. Tank classes, there's only one tank per team now versus 2 tanks per team. And then it's just the balancing issues and the fact the game doesn't feel really that new. It's like, why are you calling it 2? And you can't play the original Overwatch anymore. They shut the servers down.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
You can only play Overwatch 2 now.
I was going to say, people are just going to go back to that. Like,
in fact, GameStop has ordered their employees to destroy the Overwatch 1 copies because they can't sell them. They're not usable anymore.
Yeah, that's some bullshit.
So, but we're also going to talk about other reasons why people are fucking hating Overwatch 2. The game's lore has been fucked with. A lot of the things that they had in Overwatch 1 are missing. Skins are missing. A lot of other shit's missing. So we're gonna dive into all that. But before we actually do that, why don't you tell everybody about yourself?
Well,
you like dick? You suck
just
dicks?
a little bit.
No, you had your balls operated on that not that long ago, right?
Yeah, I had surgery on my nutsack. What's today's date?
Today is the 8th.
Almost 2 months ago, actually.
9th.
It was like August 17th or something like that. No, but my name is Mike, Obviously, you already said that. Was in the Army, active duty for 3.5 years. Lived down in El Paso, Texas. Did one deployment while I was in. I'm in the reserves now till the end of this year. Can't wait to fucking get out because, goddamn, that's a nightmare. Worst decision of my life. Got a kiddo at home. Yeah, man, I mean, life's pretty simple.
How many kids you got? 2?
Just one.
One? Oh, it's my boss that has 2. I keep forgetting about that.
Living that dad life, veteran service officer for work, so I help other vets apply for benefits and healthcare and shit like that.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited to go see the VOW community on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. They're pretty cool. Ideal behind it all. They have the veteran marketplace. Helps vets in the community get free groceries essentially if they can't afford to go to the store. It's open for really anybody though.
I saw the inside of some of those online, and those are some pretty nice fucking places.
Yeah, and they also have the tiny homes, which is what he's talking about. Homeless vets in the community that really don't have anywhere to go, that don't want to live in a homeless shelter. They can apply to live in one of those tiny homes.
Now, provided they actually have to be actively looking to, not stay there.
Themselves. Yeah, I believe they have like a 2-year period to live there. But
I think it can be longer than that, and I only know that because I did have a soldier that lived there for quite a while. He lived there for almost 4 years, I think.
They make exceptions if you're actively looking and trying to better yourself. They'll let you stay there longer. But they're pretty nice though.
That veteran stand down event that we had was pretty cool.
Yeah, we had
pretty successful.
People. Close to 200 people came through.
That was more than you guys anticipated, right?
Boss man was expecting about 150. We know we had close to 200 because we ran out of all the food, and we had 175 meals.
Oh, we did run out of the food.
Yes, all the food was gone, and then there were still people walking in after the fact. So it was pretty successful though. The best we've had it in years, from my understanding.
Really?
Yeah. So, last year, during COVID, they didn't have an actual event like that. They had drive ups. So all you do is you just drive up, you get a bag of gear, and then you just drive off. This year, you had to see at least one person from each category. Talk about different benefits that are there for vets. In order to get the gear at the end. Obviously, a lot of people come there just for that.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that where guys were walking up to me and they're just like, "You want to hear about regiment?" They're like, "Nope."
Just
and I was like, "Okay."
Please.
I'm like, "All right, man."
Yeah.
And I was really trying to tell them we have an outdoor program that we're working on. We also have Stack Up that if you are in a crisis, you can reach out and stuff. They're like, okay, and they just walk off, and I'm like, "All right, man."
Yeah, in a way, it's a lot of the older vets that are just kind of there. I don't know, man. It's really a mix-up because some older vets do have interest in a lot of the different of the groups that are there. Primarily the younger generation that did come through. Granted, there wasn't a lot of people our age that were there, but the ones that were there, I realized were actually kind of talking to people. We're trying to figure out what they can do.
The younger ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's what I want to see. I want to see more of the younger generation get involved with shit.
And you really don't.
No, you don't. You
even
don't.
at work myself, I mean, as long as I've been there, I haven't been there super long, but I've been there close to a year now. I have maybe seen 10 vets that are probably under the age of 30 since I've worked there. And
At the VSO?
Yeah. That's coming to my office. Maybe at 10 to 15 vets that are between, I would say 35 and under. Primarily, it's veterans that are older. Because I know when I got out of the Army, when I was active duty, I didn't know a damn thing about benefits. I didn't even know that there was anything there for me.
I did. I just didn't take initiative. I'm being completely honest with that. I did not take any initiative when it came to like getting my VA shit done, which I wish I'd done that.
Because, I mean, dude, there really is a lot out there, and it helps. You know, it helps you. I always tell people, like, this is your life. This is your future. As hard as you want to fight for this, you need to go to these appointments. You need to jump through the hoops. And for any people that are listening that are active duty, I could tell you this. Make sure you get seen for everything that is an issue before you get out.
Absolutely. I've been telling people this all the fucking time. And a
lot
of people just don't do it.
No, because you're just going to fuck yourself when you get out. The VA, they don't give a shit if you hurt your back 5 years ago and you're like, yeah, I hurt my back in service, but I never got seen for it. They're like, okay, well, whose fault is that?
That's theirs, because like now that you're out, like, good luck.
Yeah.
Good fucking luck. That's why I wish I got diagnosed with sleep apnea before I got out. My buddy Nelson, the guy that's on here, he did. He just got diagnosed and he's getting a CPAP. Yeah, I told him, I'm like,
That's how I'm at 50% with the CPAP machine, dude.
I know it is. And honestly, I love that fucking thing. My first night with it was a nightmare. It did not seal to my face because of my beard. And then it also, like, I had a bruise on the bridge of my nose. Okay. I just started having, like, these marks that sat there all day. I had a pimple there and shit. I started breaking out. But, like, breathing it, like, for 2 hours is when I slept with it. And then I woke up, my mouth was so dry.
Yeah.
And then I had to go get some water and shit, and I put it on, and I was breathing, and I was like, maybe I should start breathing through my nose.
Yeah.
Then the seal kept breaking. So when the seal breaks on your mask, it cranks the pressure.
I could literally only imagine.
And I was just like, the whole night, I'm like, this is miserable. And I tried putting the nose one on, and I had a hard time at first exhaling.
Yeah.
Because you're exhaling against air pressure. So that sucked. But then the next night, I was like, fuck it. I'm going to use that one. And I did. And it was like...
You slept all night?
No, not all night. I did wake up. But I slept for like 6 hours, and I felt great.
Yeah.
Now, last night, on the other hand, I did not. And that was because, you know, we're dog sitting, and the dog that we're sitting now has kennel cough. And we had to take her to the emergency room at 2 o'clock in the morning. And now I have a sick dog until her parents come to get her.
Got her
later today.
Upstairs.
Got her quarantined in a room upstairs with Alicia. Got to keep the other dogs because we have 2 other dogs. Got to keep them away.
Yeah.
Dude, that fucking...
You know, the last thing I want to say about the whole, like, disability stuff, too, is people always listen to the barracks lawyers on this. Mental health. Mental health, people are afraid to do a rating for it because they think that their weapons will be taken away from them.
Mm-hmm.
That is not the case.
No, it's not.
The VA
I actually admit that I fucking fell for that whole thing.
They don't give a shit if you have a 70% rating and you own firearms at home. They don't.
For your mental health, right? Is what that's you're saying?
Mental health. And it sucks because a lot of guys are like, well, I never got seen for mental health while I was in. I mean, that won't really affect you. You can still see them after service, or you just need to talk about time in service kind of thing. I mean, even your mental health now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But don't be afraid to actually reach out to behavioral health while you're in, because it's only going to benefit you more when you do get out. Same thing with injuries, allergy issues, stomach issues, everything.
Everything. I didn't see mental health when I was in because, 1, there wasn't anybody, and 2, I didn't. There was a big stigma there, and that was the biggest one. Is that there's a big stigma of like going to see somebody.
It always is.
Huh?
It still is.
Yeah, there still is, where people will just give you shit. And the biggest thing is like, you didn't deploy. Why do you need mental health? And I'm like, what the fuck does that matter? Like, I need to see someone because, like, my time here is not great.
Yeah.
And I feel a certain way. I want to talk to somebody. And they're just like, about what? You didn't see combat, so why do you fucking need to go see anybody?
Yeah.
So it was just shit like that. And I was like, bro.
Yeah, man. I mean, You just kind of have to block that out. Because a lot of people our age obviously serve, that is the age limit, the younger generation. And people view you a certain type of way if you do go to behavioral health. But you don't listen to them, because for one, it's obviously good for you, for your mental health, for you to actually go and see somebody. For two, when you get out, it's only going to help you get a rating for it.
Yes.
I mean, even if you don't want to go directly see a mental health provider in the military, you're kind of on the water and the bridge of it, of actually going to do it. There's other like organizations out there that you can reach out to talk to them, at least, like the one I was talking about earlier, like Project Refit. They're an online source. Not a lot of people know about them. They're small, but it's run by veterans. They do stuff for the veteran community. If you're in a mental health crisis or any kind of crisis in general, they'll drive to you or fly to you to help you. There are so many other things out there. You just have to kind of look. I mean, that's what you have the internet for now.
Yes. Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, if you guys are listening, you guys are vets, make sure you honestly reach out to your county CVSO or really anybody that deals with like disability claims, or even applying to go to the VA for healthcare, because the higher rating you get free healthcare.
Now there's a lot of conditions involved with doing that too.
Yeah.
So like your time in service, like what's the nature of your discharge, all those other things they do factor in. I mean, I saw there was a guy who he got discharged after a year and 9 months. And that was the one that had Munchausen by proxy happen to him.
Okay.
And he was in the Naval Reserves, and he was on active orders in Texas. And he made a suicide joke.
Okay.
And then someone took it seriously and looked into his mental health, looked into his records from his civilian records.
Yeah.
And they pulled up that he actually did have a history with mental health issues, mostly related to the fact that he was a victim of Munchausen by proxy.
Okay.
And was separated from his biological mother as a result. And they used that against him and then separated him.
Well, here's something that can, help.
Oh, but the other thing is they didn't fucking actually like process his discharge papers. So according to the Navy, he was still in. And he had been out for like 2 years or a year at this point.
Well, I can tell you this. If he does get a rating for anything, he'd be eligible to go. It's hard for veterans that are in reserves or guard.
Fuck yes,
to
it
actually
is.
do anything. But getting a simple 10% rating will qualify you to go to the VA regardless. If you deploy, there are different sections on there, different awards they'll look at. They'll take that into account to let you go there. Primarily, though, if you don't meet any of the criteria, they go off of what you make per year. But in that process, even if you get denied, 10% rating will unlock that door for you to go there. And most common one you see is tinnitus, ringing in the ears.
Yeah, I heard they were trying to change that, though.
What do you mean?
To make it harder.
Yeah, there's no really way to test for it. It just depends on what you say to them.
I must have said the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, really, if you tell them that ringing started in your ears while you're in service, you're gonna have a good chance of getting connected to it.
Also, same if you were a combat MOS and you were around loud.
High probability noises. That's what they'll look at your MOS and they'll ask you what you've done in service. If you've been around loud noises, what you did in your job field, and they'll take that into account if it's connected or not. Also, here's something that I've looked at the other day. Recreational use, if you hunt, you're going to want to tell them that you use hearing protection while you hunt.
I just didn't tell them anything.
I mean, you don't have to. I
didn't tell them that I was a pipe fitter.
It's up to you what you want to tell them. I mean, it's the way you want to do it, Not saying that's the correct way to do it, not saying there's a wrong way to do it, but it's all how you want to word what you've done with your life.
Right. That's essentially what I did. What I did was I told them, they're like, are you ever exposed to loud sounds like nowadays? And I'm like, no. That I didn't tell them that I worked as a pipe fitter and shit like that.
Use it against you.
I know they would. So I said, yeah, it's like I have a hard time sleeping at night because of the ringing in my ears. Like I have to put a TV on so it drowns it out. throughout the day, and then sometimes randomly throughout the day it'll intensify, and then it goes back to normal. And then I said I can usually ignore it when I'm during my time when I'm awake, but usually in a really quiet environment, it's all I can fucking hear. And then they asked, like, what do you do now? I'm like, I work as a security guard. Like, are you exposed to loud sounds there? I'm like, no, it's in a quiet trailer with somebody else. I don't really go to concerts or anything. I don't listen to my music all that loud.
Yep. Really, that's all a tinnitus appointment is. It's all mouth of word. I mean, they'll look in your ears, look at your eardrums, stuff like that. But
they did look in my eardrums. They didn't tell me what they found. They did give me a hearing test, and I passed, apparently. I didn't fail, but I didn't pass.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
For me. Yeah. But
you can hear enough.
Typically, though, I will tell you this. If you were a combat MOS and you think you have hearing loss and they deny you, once you get older and you're actually really deaf, I would say put in for it again at that point because they'll just look at your records.
Didn't you say that you found someone with 100% for their hearing?
Yep.
Which is something you've never seen before?
Yep. First time seeing it. It was the first time for everything. I mean, like, one guy he had 50% for his sinuses.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I've never seen that before in my life, and no one else in my office has.
You think that's a result of the PACT Act?
So prior to the PACT Act, there were 3 things that were already presumptives for burn pits. It was asthma, sinusitis, rhinitis. Sinusitis, rhinitis both deal with their nose and nasal and everything like that. I believe one of them's like the leakiness, the other one's like stuffiness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know the difference. I just know it's 2 separate ratings you can get. So, I mean, I don't think it's a result of the PACT Act because it was already there prior. PACT Act added a lot of presumptives for burn pit veterans. And the thing is, too, if you're not sure if you're considered a burn pit veteran, there's a list of countries they have on their website, on the VA website, that tells you if you are. And you don't need to prove that you were exposed to burn pits. You just need to be in country for, I don't remember the time limit, but I believe it's on there as well. I think it might just be a day, to be honest with you. But they'll have more information on the VA website. But there's a lot of stuff on there. And if people haven't looked at it, I highly suggest you go take a peep at it because...
Yeah, you and I went down everything in the PACT Act, and I'm like, I don't qualify for none of that shit.
There's a lot on there, dude. There's like 30 things.
I know.
Like 15 of them are cancers. The other 15 of them are just illnesses.
I got to get an appointment with my podiatrist. I got to schedule one to get an x-ray done because I'm getting an MRI next week for my back.
Yeah.
For the radiculopathy.
Yep.
Which is, every time I bring it up, they're like, even my doctor was like, what's that?
The pinched nerve in your back.
So, pinched nerves and stuff. So I think that's what they're going to do the MRI. But I'm also fairly confident they're going to MRI my back and be like, you might need surgery soon.
Well, better to get it checked out.
Well, I asked for an MRI when I was active, and they told me no.
Really?
Because they had to send me to Germany for it.
They didn't have anything like that? No local hospitals could do it?
They said yes, but that was on a priority basis.
For like surgery, like right now and then.
Yeah, like spinal cord injury type shit.
Well, at least you're going to get your back checked out.
Yeah, I'm going to get it checked out 6 years later. So, I mean, this happened in, 2015, 2014?
For people that don't know what radiculopathy is, it's like the numbness in your ass and your legs.
Yeah, which I do get.
Yeah.
I do get numbness in my ass and legs. I also get muscle spasms in my thighs. I don't know why. That one freaks me out because I'm like, do I have MS? That's not service related. I know it's not.
But yeah, no, definitely get checked out. It's your body, your life. You're only going to benefit yourself when you get out of the military.
I know. Before we dive into any of the topics, I do have some things that I needed to show you.
I can only imagine what it's going to be.
Well,
you're smiling, so.
I mean, it's pretty much. It's pretty much things that I like to show everybody that I'm close with.
Yeah.
On their first time.
Well, pitter patter, let's get at her, bud.
Well, I got to find it first. So, the VOW. So, we already talked about VOW. The Air Force is fucking talking about bringing me. Did you ever get to talk to? You said it was your boss man about getting me in touch with the Air Force recruiting command about actually bringing me out there?
Well, I was going to Friday, but I ripped the ass crack in my pants, so I left work at.
You did not.
Yep.
You ripped that hole in your pants?
Yep.
How the fuck did you do that in the office?
I went to go take a piss, bent down, and all I heard was, and I was like, huh, what the hell was that? And I turn around, look in the mirror. I'm like, well, there's my whole ass. But yeah, he was in contact with them last Thursday about him going up there because I think he'll be there as well. I'll have to talk with him again Monday about it. He'll just have to remind me. Now, did they give you like their number or vice versa? Or
No, they did not.
did you give them your number?
I gave my email address, and I hadn't heard anything. So I was wondering about that because they did say they talked to me and they talked to Tim about bringing us out there, and I wanted to really see what their plan was for this.
Yeah, I'm. From my understanding, it's like their big recruiting convention they do every year. And, of course, I mean, it's going to be at the Dells. I mean, the Air Force obviously has to take care of their guys, put them somewhere nice, and girls. But I would definitely try and get in contact with them. Well, they didn't give you their number. Well, I'll talk with Sean about them getting in contact with you. Because when he mentioned your name, I was sitting there, the guys from Regiment, he was like, oh, yeah, we talk with them. They should be coming, too.
To the
The Air Force guy, whoever he called from the Air Force.
Yeah, I want to know what they plan on, how making that happen. Or are they fucking housing me? What's going on? All right, I want to show you this before we go on. Now, nobody else can see this but you.
Okay.
Let me turn the volume up. That's not the volume. There's the volume. I wonder if there is volume. So, for those that are wondering, it is the infamous corn cob video I like to show people.
Corn cob.
And what do I mean by corn cob video? You're going to see here in a second. How's your stomach with gross things?
Oh, I'm fine. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, right? So, your stomach can actually handle weird shit?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, can it handle
shit. Literally.
Literally shit. It's corn. A big lump of knobs. It has a juice. It has a juice.
That's gnarly. Oh.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Oh, come on. I need to get some kind of infection.
I know.
That.
I know. It's like, this is like a just fucking, it is just straight up. You are going to catch a yeast infection.
Oh, 100%.
You should probably, I show this to my corpsman buddy, and he's just like, I don't know what I would say to somebody that would do this. This is this is a mental illness right here.
Oh, 100%. Like, she should probably go get seen. I'm sure she probably has
Drugs or mental illness. Let's see. What else does she do? Oh, yeah, she does that. Play with it. There we go.
You know that doesn't taste good.
I don't know what that tastes like. This is the kind of stuff, I will say, this is the
How'd
kind
you
of
even find this?
Someone, when I was in the Guard, showed it to me. It was one of those group chats with the fucking guys in the National Guard, and they're just like, "Look at this," and there was like a Facebook group chat, and
Could
I was
you
just
imagine the scent in that room right now?
can you imagine her? She taking a Tinder date home, and he's just like, she's like, "So what are you into?"
I got something cool I want to try. You want to watch me do this real quick?
It's just like, this is like, it reminds me of Jeffrey Dahmer. I told you, we're gonna watch a movie, hang out, and take some pictures.
We're gonna take some. Pretty solid.
Yeah. This part, oh god, that part is just gnarly.
I mean, she packs it away pretty well, but I'm just trying to imagine the scent, and then the taste. I mean, because it's all up in that. Oh, come on, how are you gonna spit it back out?
I don't know, man.
Like, I wonder if someone pays her to do this.
They 100. That was the 2 Girls 1 Cup. They got paid for that.
Oh, did they?
Fuck yeah, they got
I
paid
wonder how
for
much
that.
they got paid for that, because that was a pretty solid mess, if you know what I mean.
Quite literally, a very solid mess.
I guess more like a runny mess.
It was, yeah, dude. That was just like fucking. And then they started vomiting in each other's mouths, and I was
Dude,
just
that's
like,
hot. Come on, you're telling me you don't like that?
not particularly, no. You had some surgery on your balls not long ago, right?
Yep.
How was that?
Well, it wasn't on the ball sack. It was like right above to the left of my dick, or right of my dick.
But your balls were hurting.
Yeah, everything hurt. Everything looked fine for like the first few days, and I woke up and it was just black and blue down there. Everything.
I bet you that's a jarring experience.
Yeah. I remember waking up and looking. I was like, "Why are my balls blue?" And the shaft of my dick's red or black.
Oh.
Yeah, it was pretty gnarly. They cut like the muscle connecting to my testicle, so it doesn't retract in my body anymore.
So what was like? How was it retracting? Like, what was causing it?
You know, being in the military, being a physical MOS, you know, being infantry, running, hiking, you know, the
And your ball would go
full
right up in your
9
body.
yards. Yeah, you know, I must have. From my understanding, they said that it looks like I injured it somehow when I was in, which I did go and get seen for while I was in, and my VA rating is a whopping 0 for that.
Wait, so they gave you a 0 for your fucking nut?
Yeah, that's a common thing to get for like testicles and shit like that.
That's
0.
super unfortunate. Here you go. I was going to show you this on your episode that you were going to be on, but you canceled because your nuts hurt. And I was going to show you this kind of shit.
Why would like this woman's in boots?
She's in.
Oh. I wonder how much she got paid for this. No amount of money I would do this
Oh,
for.
no. Do you ever feel like you have to shit when you get hit in the nuts?
Yes, I want to puke and shit and piss at the same time.
Like for me, it's I have this overwhelming feeling like I have a shit cramp when I get hit in the balls.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "That's weird." I'm like, "Wait, so you don't feel like you have to poop too when you take?"
Sometimes if it hits me just right, yeah.
Dude,
I
every
gotta
time
shit.
it hits me, it feels like a shit cramp,
like
and it immediately triggers pooping. So like if I hit myself in the nuts, and it was kind of funny because I have a story about this. So I was having sex it was like years ago. I was having sex, and I cocked my arm back to smack her ass because she was on top, and I fucking full swing missed, and then just smacked myself in the balls, and it was just like that. I was like, oh. And dude, I immediately
nut.
No, it was just like instant softy, and I went to the bathroom and I just started shitting,
Blowing your ass out.
and I was just like, oh, and it was just like it felt it in my stomach. Like I don't feel the feeling of wanting to throw up.
Yeah.
I feel the feeling of wanting to shit.
No, I feel like the puke and shit, but it's terrible. No, but yeah, they ended up just cutting some muscle off on there to where it doesn't retract anymore. It's just from, I guess, use and abuse of fucking running and shit. Because it would even happen when I'd fucking nut.
I was gonna say, did it happen when you like
Bust a nut,
when
yeah.
you cough and nut and shit?
Well, not when I cough, just when I would nut. My testicles going right up in that bitch.
I'm like, hang on, let me fix myself.
Yeah.
Right after.
It sucked. It fucking sucked. But the funny thing is, I tell people about this, and they're like, that happens to me too. Like, should I go get seen for that? I'm like, I mean, if you want, I don't know, probably.
That does not happen to me. It does not happen to me at all.
I've probably met like 5 other people I've talked to about this. They're like, that happens to me. I'm like, maybe you should go see a doctor.
You should probably talk to a doctor about like your balls going into your body.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be going that far.
No.
I mean, yeah, obviously your balls go up.
And I'd have to push it back in, back down to the sack every time, bro.
Yeah, like from your hip. You gotta push it
and
in.
It was like whenever it would go in, it was like a very like uncomfortable like pressure and pain.
It didn't hurt for me. Like I've had it go in there where I've adjusted weird and just went right up in there.
It hurt.
And I had to push it back down, and it was just like, at first it happened, I panicked. I was just like,
What do I do?
I was like, it didn't hurt. I was just like, my ball is in my body now.
Yeah,
I don't know
like,
what to do.
Like pressure, You feel like that pressure. Well, it's like pressure and pain for me. Thankfully, it doesn't happen anymore. But
They fixed it, huh?
I hope it hasn't happened ever since. So
It wasn't that long ago. It seemed like it was like, what, a month ago?
Yeah, about 2 months ago, I got the surgery.
Damn, it's already been 2 months.
Yeah, August. It was in August, mid-August. I didn't go to AT because of it.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Fuck it. Was that your last AT? You missed your last AT, huh?
I mean, I may have planned around it to where that happened, but
That may or may not have been
a shit
intentional.
bag. No big deal.
You fucking malingering bitch, sick call ranger.
You should be a sick call ranger if you want to benefit yourself after the
Yeah,
army.
so PSA, be a sick call ranger. Don't give a shit what anybody else says. Be a sick call ranger. It will benefit you in the long run, and you'll wish that you had.
Just get seen for everything.
It's quite funny that the ones that want to give you shit for being a sick call ranger are the very first ones that are just like, I want to be 100%. And it's like, well, if you were a sick call ranger, you would have been.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have been an asshole.
Yep. Because it's happened. I've met quite a few people that did 20 years, and I look at their records.
It's mostly Vietnam vets.
All Vietnam vets, they hate dealing with us. Sometimes I've met a couple that want
convincing them that this is a good thing for them is like hard.
Oh, I know. But some listen, most don't. I had one guy come in that my wife is forcing me to do this. I don't even want to be here. It's like, well, good thing you're here because it's only gonna fucking help you.
And then they realized that like you had all this money that you could have been making this whole time.
For years. Dude, because the Agent Orange list, most Vietnam guys I meet, bless their soul, feel bad for them, but they have one of these conditions. Type 2 diabetes is the most notorious one I see upon Vietnam veterans. And that's
Agent Orange
that's
causes
Agent
those?
Orange. Yeah. And neuropathy. There's so many different things, man. There's so much out there. But especially for our younger generation, there's a lot that could happen from being.
There's more coming, sure. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, and as sad as it is, I hate saying like this, but the burn pits are kind of like our version of Agent Orange.
I've heard a lot of guys say this. I've even said this. Like it seems like the burn pit thing is our Agent Orange,
and there is more presumptives for the burn pits than there is Agent Orange.
I think that's because there's obviously more going into the research of it. Yeah. Because, the Agent Orange thing for that time was not something that everyone looked at. They lied, said it was it was okay for you.
Yeah,
but
sides.
But then everyone knows now, like with the burn pit shit, like even during it, everyone's like, this can't be good for you.
Nah, not at all. I met a guy that one of his buddies that he deployed with wore a gator neck the entire time overseas. Every time they would go outside, he'd put one on. He said by the end of their 9-month deployment, his whole front of his gator neck was black from his breathing in whatever the hell they're breathing in out there.
Smart of him to do that, though.
Yeah.
It probably helped him.
Yeah.
Now he's going to get fucking paid for the exposure, even though he didn't really inhale it, but he protected himself from it. So he might have saved himself any kind of long-term effect from it.
I mean, I didn't do that. I mean, the funny thing is, the gas masks that were issued, they're not rated to protect you from chlorine gas.
I knew that. I think the new ones are, though.
The one with the dual canisters?
Yeah, I think the new ones are. They're not?
My understanding, because when I was deployed, when we were doing a security detail way south of Kuwait, we had chlorine plants and oil plants all around us. And one day a siren went off, and we didn't know what the hell was going on. And it was a chlorine plant, had exposure to the outside air. And none of us could wear a mask because it wouldn't have done a fucking thing.
Fuck yeah, dude.
So, yeah, I'll probably get cancer in like 40 years. No big deal.
I'm really curious to see what this vaccine shit's going to do.
I had to get it.
I put my 2 weeks notice in my job on my last day. So, because they said they want me to get it. And I was like, no. But the thing that was fucked up about the DOD doing it was you got dudes getting other than honorable discharges for not getting the vaccine.
That's why I got it, because I was still in the reserves.
And
don't want to fuck up my benefits.
The vaccines they were giving were not the big three.
Nope.
They were just some off-brand shit.
Yep.
And they lied to everyone saying this is the Pfizer vaccine, and it wasn't. And so I could see that becoming a huge fucking problem.
Lawsuit.
And that's what I was explaining to my supervisor, because he's still in the reserves. And I told him, I was just like, did you know that the vaccine that they're making these guys get is not Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, or Moderna? He's like, well, what is it? I'm like, it's a fucking off-brand name that no one's heard of.
Luckily, in my reserve unit, Walgreens came in there with the 3 big ones and gave them out from my unit.
If it were, it's like, we're going to put a bullet in your head if you don't do it. I would have done probably one of the big 3.
I got the Pfizer.
I got the
most
Moderna.
Common one. Oh, you did end up getting it?
I had to keep my job.
Oh, I didn't know you actually got it, though.
I had to get it. It was like, you're going to be taken off the schedule if you don't get it. And I was just like, you're basically going to be fired if you don't get it. And I couldn't afford to not be working at the time. I wasn't in school yet.
And you didn't have a rating yet, probably.
No, not yet at that time. So I was like, fuck it, fine, I'll get it. So I got it. And then they said that, and then I got the next one. Then they said the booster, you have to get the booster, otherwise you're fired. So I was just like,
Never got the booster.
I had to get the booster because they told me I was going to get fucking fired if I didn't. So I got the booster. That one I did feel really shitty after.
I felt sick after both of my Pfizer shots.
I didn't feel sick after the Moderna. I felt fine, felt normal. The booster was the only one that fucked me up.
And I got them both while on at drill. So I only went to drill Saturday, both those months.
Fuck yeah. Now, what they're doing is next week, they're making them take the booster and the flu shot at the same time.
Not doing that.
They said that you have until this date to get both.
Funny thing is, where at your job you're at? Well, the funny thing is, too, a buddy of mine, another veteran, he went to go get his flu shot, and they accidentally gave him the booster instead. So he had to go back and get the...
Accidentally.
Yeah. He had to go back and get the flu shot because you have to get the flu shot while you're in, obviously. And
has he already been vaxxed?
He already got the Pfizer.
Was he up for... Was he within the time limit to get a booster anyway?
Yeah, he was, but he didn't want the booster. He just like, yeah, I need to get my flu shot, and they accidentally gave him the booster instead. And then he had to go back to get the flu shot after because he didn't realize, because they came in to see me after at work, and he didn't realize that he got the booster until
they looked at what it was.
He looked at the paperwork after he left.
I bet he was pissed.
I was like, can't you like sue somebody for that?
No, you can't, actually.
Really?
It's not considered malpractice.
Even though you're supposed to be a pharmacist that knows what you're doing, and you give someone...
Well, I mean, if you look at when you got the vaccine, if you look at the paperwork on the vaccine, it was a trial period and for emergency use only, and that the pharmaceutical companies were not liable for any issues. But that's a whole other conversation that we don't get into on this podcast. But before we get into the topics, I need more coffee.
That's fair.
So I'll be right back.
All right.
All right, we're back. So let's talk about Stadia. So Google is shutting down Stadia as if, none of us saw this coming. I mean, you obviously didn't know much about it. So Google is beleaguered. What is that fucking word?
Which one?
Google's beleaguered. Did I say that right?
Belagord?
Whatever. Google's beleaguered cloud gaming service is being shut down. Stadia will continue operating for only a few more months, with the cutoff point being January 18th, 2023. Google intends to refund all Stadia hardware purchased via Google Store, as well as games and add-on content purchases from the Stadia Store. These refunds will be completed by mid-January. So the reported by The Verge, Google's cloud gaming service has been a poor performer for some time. While it provided AAA games such as Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Red Dead Redemption 2 through the cloud, it wasn't able to sway consumers and never saw a huge interest and uptake among gamers. Stadia could deliver well, notably offering decent performance for Cyberpunk 2077 when that title had its troubled launch. And that was the weird part for Cyberpunk, because Stadia ran it pretty well, and everybody else couldn't.
Kind of ran like shit on my PC, I'm not going to lie.
Huh?
It kind of ran like shit on my PC.
Apparently now it runs pretty damn good.
Yeah, their numbers have spiked on.
They're like looking at a concurrent player base of like 80,000 or more.
Yeah, it really jumped back up. So they must have done something to finally fix up their fuck ups.
I mean, CD Projekt Red's always been known for like sticking with their games, so
which is good. You should.
But that one was bad.
And now everyone's been waiting for that for years to come out.
That's why I say hyping a game before you have a release date and predetermining a release date is only going to make it problematic. We're gonna talk about that for Skull and Bones too, because that's basically what they've been doing.
Yep.
So where was I? So Cyberpunk 2077 when the title had its troubled launch, but it just couldn't find traction among players as it competed against dominant players like Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, not to mention mobile platforms. So a few years ago, this is their statement from Stadia. So a few years ago, we also launched a consumer gaming service, Stadia. Stadia Vice President Phil Harrison wrote, This is the guy that also turned down Hideo Kojima, saying that it was a single player game.
Yeah.
And while Stadia's approach to streaming games for consumers was built on a strong technology foundation, it hasn't gained the traction with users that we expected. So we've made the difficult decision to begin winding down our Stadia streaming service. So Stadia's employees will now move on to other parts of Alphabet, Google's parent company. But the tech developed for Stadia won't go to waste, as parts of Stadia will be applied to Alphabet's other platforms, such as YouTube, Google Play, and its AR projects. While Stadia may be a bust, the games industry still sees cloud gaming as a growth area for Google, intends Stadia tech to be made available to our industry partners as it aligns with where the company sees the future of gaming is headed. Now, yes, it is good that the cloud gaming technology is being shared, but how popular will cloud gaming actually be?
Honestly, I can see it starting getting more popular. I mean, most companies are trying to get away from even making disc games.
I know a lot of digital releases
so
are getting popular.
It's coming into just a digital world now. So I could see it taking off, just not sure how fast it will.
Yeah, I know that's the big problem with it. I mean, this also answered the question that everyone had when it launched. Google is notorious for killing off a project, but what's going to happen when Google abandons this one? What about the games that we bought?
Yeah.
But it's good to know that we're actually going to get, the people are going to get refunded for this shit.
Which is good. And I'm surprised. Honestly, I'm surprised they're even.
They're going to lose a lot of money from this.
That's why I'm
and
surprised.
I think we'll actually talk about like how much they are aiming to lose from this. It's in the tens of millions.
Oh, I believe it.
So Stadia launched only a few years ago, but Google has a habit of launching then shuttering platforms and services after being in operation for a relatively short time. Now we'll add Stadia to that list, and it's already in the Google graveyard. It's there now. Like they wasted no time throwing that bitch out there.
I mean, there's no point to try and waste time to do it, you know.
Now, though that was a very predictable situation that just happened, with also some pretty pleasant surprises about refunds and all that stuff and sharing the tech. But what does suck is the fact that Stadia shut down, took the developers by surprise because they didn't know until the tweet. That tweet was how they found out. So last week's news about Google killing off Stadia took developers by surprise, many of which voiced their frustration on social media. So last week, news about Google killing off its cloud service Stadia might come as a shock to some people. That's not true. But none could be more surprised than the game developers themselves. This is especially true considering that just months ago, Google denied rumors about it looking to shut down Stadia. Now that the news is official for Google to terminate Stadia on January 18th, some developers were scratching their heads and wondering why they just heard the news at the same time as the public did. So on Twitter, many developers are voicing their frustration right after learning about Google's abrupt decision last week. Indie developer Tom Vian from London-based studio SFB Games tweeted, "Tangle Tower was due to launch in Stadia in 2 days, and this article was the first I heard about it shutting down," while linking the news published to The Verge. Others, like Mike Ross from No More Robots and Rebecca Heineman from Old Skull, replied to the tweet the same level of distress, having planned to release their games on Stadia in November. In a separate tweet, Mike also showed his disappointment for not getting any notice earlier. "Hours later, I still have no email from Stadia and no clarity on what's happening with our games, deals, or anything. Really would have been nice if they told our partners or even got in contact with us by now." So they didn't even fucking tell them, and they didn't even tell them after.
Yeah, I would have been like, all right, I guess I'll just go fuck myself and all the money I've dumped
some of these
into
contracts were like literally months. They were like some of these studios, of which we'll get into, signed contracts months ago.
Oh, I believe it.
And weren't even told that this was going to be a thing.
Are they still going to get paid? That's a big thing.
I want to know that too.
Because that's fucked up. You know, you're paying your employees to start making video games just for it not to happen. So now what? They're going to have to try and figure out what they're going to do with their products. Are they going to halt it, try and go somewhere else with it, you know?
So this is what Mike Rose said. Mike Rose said he was replying to this tweet. "To all people who kept begging us, please bring your games to Stadia. This is why we didn't." A lot of people believe this was going to happen. While most of the commotion on Twitter came from indie developers, some major established studios were also caught off guard. Sony-owned Bungie, the studio responsible for Destiny franchise, also stated on the help section of its official community forum that it didn't get any heads up from Google regarding the Stadia shutdown. The statement was a response to a user asking about the possibility of transferring their Destiny 2 progress from Stadia to other platforms. This tweet says, that was the one that was in, this, and they even say, like, this is how I'm finding out.
Yeah.
So for most developers who had already signed on to publish their titles on Stadia, the frustration certainly rings true considering that they have invested time and resources into getting their games available for the cloud gaming service. On top of that, Stadia's shutdown also means that developers are losing one potential source of revenue, which one developer admitted is very viable when compared to other streaming services. The stakes are even higher for studios that publish their titles exclusively on Stadia, such as Tequila Works, which has since announced its horror adventure game GLYT is coming to other platforms. So this is them talking about this and that they're going to be bringing it to Xbox, Switch, and PlayStation.
Yeah.
Stadia's demise is clearly not a good sign for the future cloud gaming landscape. However, it could mean that Google is one that doesn't get cloud gaming quite right, as rival services like Xbox Cloud Gaming seem to continue gaining traction. And there's another one called GeForce Now, which is, I think NVIDIA made this.
I've heard of GeForce Now. I just don't know much about it.
Apparently it's a better one. It's like a subscription service, but it offered a lot of fucking games. But the biggest issue is a lot of AAA publishers were backing their games out. So like Activision pulled Call of Duty from GeForce Now because of the fact that you only had to purchase the game once and you could play it anywhere. And these studios want people to keep paying for a game when they switch platforms versus being able to play anywhere. So now let's see.
Well, speaking of Call of Duty, didn't Microsoft buy the rights to that now? From my understanding, I don't think it'll be on PlayStation in
it will.
10 years.
It will.
Will it?
Sony is thinking that it won't, but it will. Microsoft even said, but then again, it is, like them saying that is, whatever.
Guess we'll see what happens.
So we're going to talk about another game that this is to highlight the business practice of what fucking Phil Henderson, whatever the fuck his name is, from Stadia. His business practices were so shit, and this is why. This is one of the reasons why Stadia failed. So Google reportedly canceled Hideo Kojima's Stadia exclusive due to it being a single-player game. So an exclusive report from 9 to 5 Google claims that Hideo Kojima once pitched an exclusive single-player game to Google for Stadia, although it was eventually canceled due to Stadia's general manager, Phil Harrison, not seeing interest in the single-player games. Now imagine a person like Hideo Kojima, who is known for the best titles in the gaming industry,
to get told no.
Because it was apparently supposed to be a Death Stranding spinoff, single-player spinoff. But no one will ever get to know.
Some people only like playing single-player games.
Yeah, and
sometimes I'm the same way. I don't want to play a multiplayer game all the time.
And that's contrary to what EA thinks. Single-player games are dying, which they're not.
No.
And in fact, EA's most popular recent games were all single-player games.
I mean, look at Skyrim.
Yeah.
Game's been around it's more popular than its Elder Scrolls Online game,
Yeah, I mean that was mostly because ESO was shit at launch, but the thing is, like, Hideo Kojima was offering to bring an exclusive game. Hideo Kojima, this guy is a fucking legend in the gaming industry, and he was offering to make an exclusive game for Stadia, and they said no. They were being picky, and they couldn't afford to be picky.
No, especially a new concept of gaming, you're brand new to the gaming industry, and you're going to say no to that?
That's like some unemployed bitch that pays for fucking lashes and lips wants like a 6'5", 6-figure-a-year man when she's fucking on welfare.
Yep.
She's being picky, and she really can't be picky. It's like your options are not at that level.
They're not there.
They're not there.
Take what you can get.
You take what you can get, and you don't throw a fit.
Yes, sir.
So the report alleges that the game pitched by Kojima would have been strictly a single-player experience in contrast to Death Stranding's asynchronous elements. Following the game getting initial approval from Google and started development, mock-ups of the project were created and shown in mid-2020 before the project was canceled altogether. According to 9to5 Google's source, it was the single-player nature of the game that got it canned, with Google believing there wasn't a market for solo experiences. Yeah. Although 9to5 Google mentions Death Stranding several times throughout its report, even calls it a Death Stranding follow-up in the header, it seems to mean the next game following on from Death Stranding and not some kind of sequel spinoff to it. The PC release for Death Stranding confirmed okay, that's cool. So rather, it seems that the game 9to5 Google is talking about is actually an Overdose, the rumored horror title from Kojima Productions that is currently in development in collaboration with Xbox. Kojima previously confirmed that it would be using the cloud, and rumors have indicated that the single-player horror title, something that would also match being pitched to Google, and they claim the report that was rejected due to the lack of interest in single-player games.
Can you imagine how appalled he probably felt?
He probably laughed it off.
Yeah.
Knowing him, he was probably like, okay.
Yeah, like I would have been like, you're really telling me no right now?
It's like, on one hand, it's like, you're really going to tell me no? But on the other hand, it's like, okay, good luck.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. If you're talking about a game that would draw people to your platform, that one would have done it.
Well, another thing is probably a good thing that you got told no. Look what just happened.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of potential for Google to keep it going. And it was like one of those things where it was a dead project that they wouldn't let die, but they could have kept it alive had they just if they just had better business practices. Yeah. And ultimately, like I said, like people can move on from a bad launch. Like, I guess I could say, I always say this, first impressions are indeed lasting.
Yeah.
However, if Google stayed committed to making it better, offering more titles, offering more features, and then saying we're going to bring more exclusives. They got Hideo Kojima working on an exclusive. They got these studios working on exclusives for this platform. They could have kept it alive.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So, but now people are stuck with trying to figure out what the fuck they're going to do. For those that were like really all about Stadia. But I knew this, I even said this from the beginning, that Stadia would not last. It just lasted longer than I thought it would.
Yeah.
I thought they'd kill it within the year. It took 2 years. But it still happened.
And it sucks for people that did enjoy it,
I know.
I mean, now it's like, great, now I have this paperweight in my house. I have to...
Well, they're going to get a refund for it.
I know, but are they going to send it back? Just curiosities of how they're going to go about the whole thing.
If Google was smart, they would allow the tech to be compatible with other cloud platforms, since they're already selling the tech off. Mm-hmm. But who knows what they're going to do. But yeah, RIP Stadia.
Yeah.
It was fun while it lasted, kind of. Not really. No, not fun at all.
I didn't even know what it was.
So, Activision Blizzard chief compliance officer, Francis Townsend, this bitch. So, Activision Blizzard chief compliance officer Francis Townsend, who was previously criticized for her actions following the news of the company's sexual harassment lawsuit, has stepped down from her role at the company and will now serve as an advisor to the board of CEO and to CEO Bobby Kotick. Fuck that guy. He's the Activision CEO.
Fuck him.
He's a cuck. Bobby the cuck Kotick. So as reported by Bloomberg, Townsend has chosen to step down prior to the $68.7 billion deal that, if goes through, that's the Microsoft deal, by the way.
Oh, really? Okay.
If it goes through, we'll see Microsoft acquire Activision Blizzard and its many iconic franchises, including Call of Duty, Warcraft, Overwatch, Diablo, and more.
Probably benefit them to have a new structure system in there anyways.
I know. So as previously mentioned, Townsend was criticized by Activision Blizzard employees and others for her actions following the public announcement of the lawsuit filed against Activision Blizzard over allegations of frat boy culture and sexual harassment. In fact, it was so bad that a Blizzard employee committed suicide at a work trip because people were harassing her and sharing her nudes to the other coworkers, and she killed herself. And then Activision took her cell phone and didn't turn it over to the cops. And then the cops got a warrant. We want her phone. Activision gave him the phone, and it looked like it was wiped.
Oh, it probably was. I mean, they have the tech.
Which is fucking crazy that they had that phone. It was like, why did you have that phone? And why did they have to get a warrant to get it? That wasn't your property.
Exactly. Well, because they knew what was in there. What kind of
it could be. It was probably damning.
Company,
They ended up getting rid of some of these fucking guys anyway. So after the news of the lawsuit broke, Townsend called the allegations distorted and false, while she said later in her statement was made following legal counsel's guidance on language and that the end result no longer sounded much like her voice. She then would tweet a link to an article that read, "The problem with whistleblowing," on her personal social media account. She got fucking ripped for this one. After these events, Townsend stepped down as executive sponsor of the ABK's Women's Network. Prior to her decision, look at this guy. He is the epitome of evil.
Fucking looks like it.
Prior to her decision to leave, Townsend also served as the executive vice president of corporate affairs for 2 years. Fran did a truly exceptional job, actually 4 jobs, which continuously increasing responsibilities and most exemplary work ethic. Kotick wrote in an email shared to Bloomberg News. So I will say this. It eventually came out that her statement about the allegations are being distorted and false, that was not her statement.
Oh, really?
That was Bobby Kotick's statement that he made her say.
Wonder how much you paid her to do that.
I don't know. He probably threatened to have her killed, too, if she didn't.
Yeah, probably. No big deal.
So Fran has also done an extraordinary job enhancing the strong governance and compliance programs we have throughout the company. That is so bullshit. Bullshit. Jen Brewer, Activision Blizzard's Senior Vice President of Ethics and Compliance, will fill Townsend's role alongside Luci Altman, the Senior Vice President of Corporate Governance. Before Activision Blizzard, Townsend was a counterterrorism advisor for U.S. President George W. Bush White House and general counsel for Mac Andrews and Forbes. Now, that was her controversy, was the fact that she was involved with the Gitmo torturing.
You know, that place is nothing like how it used to be now.
I'm sure it's not.
I had a friend who was actually there a few years ago.
Apparently, it's a cushy place now.
Yeah. They get tobacco products every day, whatever they want.
Bring your mic more directly to your mouth.
They get tobacco products every day with whatever they want. They get TVs in their cells. They get literally.
Isn't it great how we treat our terrorists?
Yeah.
Now, I will say
terrorists.
A lot of these guys that were being tortured had nothing to do with any of it. And and they were just admitting to it so they get it to stop.
Yeah.
Which was, I'm sure there are a lot of guys that are in there that had nothing to do with anything. They're just there.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people that really are shitbags. And we did give some back for the trading of Bo Bergdahl. Remember that?
Yeah, that piece of shit.
Yeah, the fucking dude that deserted his post and went and joined the Taliban, and then under the guise of I'm a POW. Then we gave 10 Taliban fucking officers back for him. And guess what? Every single one of them ended up being like ISIS commanders.
Yeah, the funny thing is,
a lot of them are dead now.
ISIS is now fighting the Taliban for Afghanistan.
Isn't that ironic? It's weird because now the Taliban are like, they are now the law and order of that place, and like, we need to protect our people from these fucks.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, how the turntables.
Yeah. The turntables.
It's fucking wild. It's like now the Taliban went from being complete shitbags to like, we are the only thing stopping them from killing everybody here.
Yeah. And they're realizing it's a lot harder to fucking deal with it
without us
than what they expected. Yeah, exactly. But hey,
it's like you ain't got A10s, you ain't got nothing, dude.
They'll figure it out.
I mean, they stole they got a lot of our shit with the withdrawal. But
they had a parade with
I
it all.
told you I could fly it.
Yeah, flying fucking Black Hawk helicopters,
crashing them and shit.
Blows my mind.
Yeah, it definitely blows my mind too. That shit pissed me off. It was like one of those things where I talked to my therapist about that. I was like, I don't know why that angers me so, because I wasn't there. But I said that whole withdrawal thing affected me to where like I was in a very strange headspace for that whole month because of it.
It just wasted time, wasted money, wasted people's lives over a conflict that nothing changed. The entire country collapsed in days after we left.
It took no time at all. And then you're telling the Marines that are there that they have to work with the Taliban.
Yeah. And then there was the bombing at the gate. It was just a shit show all around.
And then we drone struck fucking civilians because we thought that they were in a V-bed.
It was messy. And the way we went about leaving was not the correct way, in my opinion.
It was quite incredible watching people fall from the C-130? No, it wasn't a C-130. C-17.
Oh, yeah. I've seen the videos of it.
Why did I forget what that was called? I've jumped from that.
I don't know. You tell me. No, yeah, it was messy. And I know quite a few vets that served there that fucked with them. My brother being one of them.
I'm sure it fucked with him because it was like you had one mission throughout your entire career of that operation.
Yeah.
And it completely changed immediately. And your hands were essentially tied behind your fucking back.
Nothing you could do.
And there was nothing. No, you just watch Marines get killed, people literally throwing babies into the fucking barbed wire fences and shit because they were trying to keep their kid away from the Taliban.
Yep.
And it was just like, what were we doing?
Their country's flag is now the Taliban flag.
I know.
If you Google it, it'll pop up. Like it's officially on.
And then you have
the
like fucking politicians going on saying that we should talk about diplomacy. And I'm like, diplomacy? From the people that were responsible for fucking 9/11?
Yeah.
Because this happened in like August, didn't it?
Last year, yeah.
And then literally 9/11 was around the corner. And we're talking about diplomacy with the people that were responsible for it? On the 20-year anniversary of it?
Makes sense. No, yeah, it's just a shit show, dude.
It was such a shit show.
All of it's just a shit show.
I even called my best friend who was my squad leader, and I'm like, bro, he's like, I want to go there and just kill everybody right now. And I was like, I'm not good right now. I was like, I'm not either. And I told him, I'm like, I don't know why I'm not. He's like, it's okay. I understand. Like you were with us, even though you didn't go there with us.
Yeah.
But you were with us. We were supposed to go.
Yeah.
You didn't go. And he's just like, it's just fucking, he's like, honestly, because of this, it's like, it's probably better that you didn't. Because this would affect you in a completely different way.
Yeah. All the guys that did serve there that lost their friends, in those mountains, it hits them different,
Yeah. Especially when they're all like, it was for nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. But
literally.
Anyway, speaking of nothing, these guys get paid nothing. So Labor Board says Activision withheld raises from union activists. I don't like calling them activists.
No.
It's because they're really not.
No.
I mean, I guess you could say, technically they are. So National Labor Relations Board has investigated and found that video game titan Activision Blizzard withheld raises from quality assurance testers at its subsidiary Raven Software, and that it attributed with the withholding to the testers' union activity. This is another lawsuit. I'm waiting. They're going to get another. They're like, we've talked about this. Activision's legal team is probably like the fucking meme where you see the guy with the cigarette. That's them. That's their legal team because it's always something.
Always.
And like they got their fucking hands full. I don't remember how many lawsuits they have going right now. I want to say it's in the double digits.
I could literally only fucking imagine, to be honest with you.
They have, before we get farther into this, let's look at how many lawsuits Activision actually has right now. How many active
I'm going to go with 20
lawsuits is Activision facing? So we chart the lawsuits and allegations brought against Activision Blizzard, which is let's see. Let's see. That's July 21st. I'm looking for numbers. They did settle a couple. Let's see. So let's count them.
There's a couple separate ones here.
California suing Activision Blizzard. That was the allegations thing. Activision Blizzard executives respond and apologize. Okay, that's one. Game industry employees protest frat boy culture. Okay, this is just a breakdown. I want to know how many. I can't find anything that says this. 2 lawsuits are filed against. This is in February. This is just updates to the ongoing one.
Yeah.
I want to say Activision is facing at least 13. Some smaller ones.
That's still ridiculous, though.
Some smaller ones, but they are facing a fuck ton.
Yeah. Which, they shouldn't be facing any if they weren't shitbags.
Oh, they're facing lawsuits from the fucking from shareholders. And one of it was because they were lying about what was going on internally to boost their fucking stock. And they knew that this lawsuit was coming. They knew that people were making allegations.
Yep.
And they, in their report, said that there was nothing of concern coming. So they boosted their stock price. And then the lawsuit dropped, not even weeks later. And then then I want to say there was they're also being investigated for insider trading because of the Microsoft deal.
Yeah.
So Bobby Kotick met with a bunch of dudes that within days of the announcement of the deal bought Activision shares. And then their shares went up when Microsoft announced that they were buying them. And it was just like, hey, what was that meeting that you had with those guys that all of them bought your shares within days of that meeting and before the fucking announcement?
Funny how that works.
And they were like saying, oh, it was just a normal conversation of breakfast. Like, hey, buy our shares. So they're being investigated for insider trading. They're being sued by shareholders for boosting their fucking stock value and lying about what was going on inside. They're also being sued for the sexual harassment thing. They're definitely going to be sued for this. They're not having a good time.
No. So I'm saying a new structure of people running it. If Microsoft
people have been calling for the CEO Bobby Kotick to step down, and the board of executives basically said no, we're keeping him, and his contract will be. And Microsoft said they were going to honor his contract till the end of his contract.
When is that?
Another year, I want to say. So, I think he's there for a year after the acquisition.
Yeah. I
don't know if they're going to renew it. I would sincerely hope they don't.
Well, if they're smart, they wouldn't, because obviously nobody likes him.
No, they would not. So, Activision Blizzard is currently in union bargaining negotiations with quality assurance testers who voted to unionize earlier this year at Raven, which works on Call of Duty titles in Madison, Wisconsin. Following the NLRB's findings, Activision Blizzard and Raven software quality assurance testers will continue negotiations around a collective bargaining agreement. If the workers and the company can't agree on terms, the NLRB could issue a complaint, or more likely case, the company refuses to settle. The board could prosecute the case before a federal judge. Yeah, that was right, lawsuit. It's a very preliminary win for the union at this point. It gives them a little bit of leverage. Now, before the union thing happened, Activision was actually sending out emails to the people that, to all the workers at Raven to vote no. And saying that voting being...
Can they do that, though?
I don't know. That part I don't know. I know that when it comes to it's basically like a political campaign at that point, where don't vote for Tony Evers, don't vote for Ron Johnson.
Yeah,
it's just at that point it's the same as that.
Yeah, it's a political game.
But that's essentially what they were doing, and then they were even going being accused of intimidating people that were wanting to unionize, saying if you go union, this is going to be bad for your career.
You're going to get fired.
No, not that. They were going to say your advancement's not going to be, the unions are going to hinder your advancement and shit. What comes to find out is actually them. Color me shocked.
Yeah.
So, where was I? Well, so former chairman of the NLRB under former President Barack Obama, who said that unions often file unfair labor complaints in conjunction with bargaining efforts. It's part of their tactics, hit them whenever they can to put pressure on the company in order to reach an agreement with them and stop violating the law. It shouldn't be that. Stop breaking the law, asshole. It's that kind of thing. They call it a tactic to hit them wherever they can to convince them to stop violating the law. It's but you're violating the law. This isn't a tactic to get you to stop doing that. This is cut and dry. You're breaking the law. Stop it.
Yeah.
This isn't a tactic at all. This is right or wrong. You're breaking the law. Stop doing that.
Yeah. No, exactly.
So a statement from Activision Blizzard spokesperson Rich George said, due to legal obligations under the National Labor Relations Act requiring employers to not grant wage increases while an election was pending, we could not institute new pay initiatives at Raven because they would be brand new kinds of compensation changes which had not been planned beforehand. This rule that employers should not grant these kinds of wage increases has been the law for many years. Now, on that hand, I can't understand that because now you are a union worker, your wages will be different.
Oh, 100%. Because unions, typically upon your position, you're going to get paid the same as the guy to your left and your right.
Mm-hmm. That's the issue. Now you have a section of that company that's union versus the rest that are not. And I will say it is completely on the union's hands for not making that's an agreement beforehand and planning wages beforehand.
Yep.
So I guess Activision really is within its rights to not give a raise because they're like, what would we raise you to? We don't know. You have no set wage for us. So you're going to stay with what you're at because we don't know what to increase you to. I will say on that hand, that is on the union.
Oh, 100%. That should have been set in stone before.
That should have been the first thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the first thing was like, there will be no more misconduct on our people. Then the next thing would be, you will pay them this.
Yeah, exactly.
So, a June labor complaint filed to the NLRB claimed that Activision Blizzard discriminated and retaliated against current and former quality assurance testers for their union activity in various ways, including laying off 12 quality assurance testers, reorganizing the studio to remove the quality assurance department, withholding benefits, and soliciting grievances. The NLRB also found that the company asked workers to air grievances while they were awaiting union vote back in May. Now, this is when they were saying vote no. Here's why. It is still investigating other parts of the complaint. On Monday evening, the Communications Workers of America filed an amended version of the complaint it initially made in June, alleging that the company continues to violate labor laws by keeping the studio reorganized without a quality assurance department. It added that the company withheld raises from Raven workers and announced withholding was due to the union activity. In May, a group of 28 Raven quality assurance testers won its bid for the union of the studio. The workers who have organized as the Game Workers Alliance told the Washington Post they hope others in the game industry follow suit. Before the May election win, Activision Blizzard President Chief Operating Officer Daniel Allegre had tried to meet the union bargaining members in Wisconsin. This meeting attempt was uncovered during the NLRB's testimony process. Let's see. So, in a statement, he says, this is not an accurate portrayal of events, although Raven QA was offered non-mandatory opportunity to meet with Activision Blizzard leadership during an on-site visit because some of the QA testers had previously requested a discussion with management. At no point was this framed as an opportunity to specifically address grievances. Furthermore, the offer was never taken and no meeting ever occurred. So they're blaming the union.
Yep.
So, let's see. They were offered, so the testers outside of the Raven were offered raises that bumped up their pay to $20 an hour. Raven testers did not receive the same offer, which the NLRB has now found to be evidence withholding benefits and retaliation for union activity. Now, that could be the issue.
$20 an hour?
To be a fucking QA tester for a game? Yeah. It's pretty low.
Yeah.
What'd you think? Game developers made money?
Yeah.
They don't.
I figured they would make more
They don't.
than that.
They fucking don't. In fact, in California, the ones that are working at Activision trying to get their spot are often very ostracized and underpaid, averaging around $13 to $16 an hour.
That blows my mind.
And then they are also not allowed to park in the parking lot. They have to park up the road and walk to work. They're not allowed to eat at the same lunchroom as everybody else that are active Activision employees. And when they do get food catered, the contractors get last dibs.
Sounds like a company I want to work for.
I know. And it's funny because me being in IT, there's a lot of kids in there that are like, I want to be a video game developer. And I tell them all, no, you don't. And I said, if you are going to be a game developer, don't work for a game company that is associated with games that you like Call of Duty. AAA publishers are notorious for shit like this. Some AAA publishers are not. Like Santa Monica. Santa Monica Studios makes God of War.
Yeah.
And they are a really good studio. They take care of their employees. Everybody loves working there that are there. But Activision, Blizzard, EA, other companies that are associated with them, they're rough. They are fucking rough. It just blows
my mind because they are the breadwinners typically when it comes to video games.
Right.
I mean, Call of Duty is one of the biggest video game, that ever be released, and it still is currently. And to hear how poorly they're paid and treated, makes you look at it a different way.
In fact, they're treated in such a way where these contractors are often told, it's like overtime. So like they work on average 100 hours a week, and they're told they don't have to, but they get punished if they don't.
Say if you don't, it's just going to look poorly.
It's going to look poorly upon you, and like essentially they're just being like strong armed into doing it. And there's even been cases like when it comes to the crunch in the game development world, they make these guys and girls work 100 hours a week through the holidays, through the weekends. Some of them are working so much that they end up staying at the office, like sleeping there.
I believe it.
and they get paid so little that they have to choose between paying their bills and eating.
You can't park in the parking lot though. Remember that.
Yeah, you can't. You also can't talk to any of the Activision employees or eat with them.
I'm sure
that's essentially what they told them.
I shouldn't laugh at that, but in a way, just like, yeah, it's like being the new guy in the military, you know.
Look at this. So look at this shit. Quality assurance testers at Raven make approximately $27,000 to $69,000 a year, and are among the lowest paid workers at the studio, according to pay documents the company shared during labor relation hearings. So they get paid at the minimum less than $30K a year.
That's like half of what I make from what I do.
That's like half of what I make with me doing nothing. I just existing and going to school, I get paid more than that.
Yeah.
And these people are working like fucking hundreds of hours.
Yeah. Could you imagine working 100 hours a week just to make $1,000 every 2 weeks?
Yeah, that would suck. It would fucking suck.
If you live in California, you know it's not cheap to live there.
No, it's not. That's the problem. Like, well, and here it's in Madison. So, I mean, knowing how our cost of living is here, we have the lowest property taxes between Illinois and Minnesota and shit.
But still,
I know.
You can't live off of that. You might as well go work at fucking McDonald's.
Yeah, essentially. So, this said that the company's anti-union messaging has been disappointingly effective, and I think the bigger victory for us than getting the pay increase would be having Activision admit what they did was unlawful, which they won't. They fucking absolutely won't.
They won't. Why would they make themselves look bad?
Deny accountability, make counter accusations. So, so essentially, this is all this is. Like, they are fucking with people's pay, and it's always the most underpaid people. So we're going to jump into the next topic, Skull and Bones. Now, I talked about this in a recent YouTube video about Skull and Bones. We're going to talk about it again here for the podcast sake. Put it on Spotify. So, Skull and Bones has been delayed yet again. The delay comes less than 2 months before the game's scheduled release date. So less than 2 months before its scheduled November 8 release, the oft-delayed Skull and Bones has been delayed again to March 9th, 2023. Development of Skull and Bones is quote-unquote finished, Ubisoft said in the delay announcement, but it needs more time to polish and balance the game based on feedback from recent technical tests, which, by the way, those testers have all said this is not ready.
Yeah.
And people are not going to be happy with what they play. So this is right. This is the right decision for both our players, and the long-term success of the game as of March 9th, 2023 provides a suitable release window for its very unique new brand. We're very eager for you to get your hands on Skull and Bones and dive headfirst into the dangerous, exciting world of building your own pirate empire from your boat.
Yeah, I mean, how are you going to do that? You're not leaving your boat.
You can't leave your boat over the port, so what are you doing?
Port, yeah.
Ubisoft continued to give you the best possible experience. We've decided to take a little more time to make sure we can deliver exactly that. It's been a rough seas for Skull and Bones from the start. It was announced more than 5 years ago in 2017, but was hit with multiple delays beyond its fall 2018 release date. It eventually fell off the map almost entirely. It was like when I was telling you, what the fuck is happening with this game?
Fall of 18?
Fall of 18 was its original release date.
That is fucking nuts.
Yep. It finally looked like real progress towards the release was happening this year, but the first ever gameplay reveal in July didn't really knock my socks off. Given the underwhelming state of the game, I can't say I'm entirely surprised at this latest delay. Ubisoft also confirmed that Skull and Bones as an open beta will be held prior to launch, but of course the date of that hasn't been announced. And even if it had, I would definitely mark it on the calendar with a pencil, just in case. Fucking facts. Now, the development hell that Skull and Bones has undergone has been absolutely torrential. So Ubisoft is also another company that's had a lot of workplace misconduct allegations. However, what they have done versus Activision is ignore it. So they don't acknowledge it at all.
Oh yeah, that happened. Okay, go back to your desk.
No, instead, like people have it's been years. Nothing has happened. No lawsuits have happened. It's just been brought to light, and then it would just kind of shut up about it.
I'm sure they'll be next.
They're definitely gonna be next. I've been saying that Ubisoft is next on the chopping block when it comes to lawsuits for workplace misconduct. And
it's just so weird to think of. People typically think of that when it comes to like blue collar work, but that is not the case here. This is not blue collar work. This is a video game company.
Yeah.
Like who would have ever expected something like that to happen in the office environment, you know.
Especially a gaming office environment.
Yeah.
See, you look at Grandma's Boy, right?
Yep.
The movie.
Yep.
That is essentially gaming development right there.
Yeah.
You have a fucking toxic boss who wants you to crunch and make a game and in the crunch the game comes out and it sucks. And then you have this one title that one guy's taking his time on.
It takes 10 years, but it comes out crisp.
Average game development, depending on the game, takes between 5 to 10 years. So like every Call of Duty title is taken. That's the problem with Call of Duty. This is why they're doing the 2-year release window now after Modern Warfare 2. Is that they've been making these games within
every year.
They're not made every year. There's 4 studios. You have Infinity Ward, Treyarch, Raven, and Sledgehammer.
Yep, Sledgehammer.
And sometimes they work hand in hand with a new title, but each one's making its own game.
Okay.
So they have about 4 years to make a game, providing everything goes well. Cold War was not going well. In fact, what was happening was that Cold War was being worked on by Raven and Sledgehammer at the same time. However, Raven and Sledgehammer were not getting along, and work was going slow, so Treyarch stepped in to spearhead the whole project, and then you had 3 studios working on one Call of Duty game. And then Cold War ended up being what it was.
Terrible game.
Terrible game. So then near the end of that development cycle, Sledgehammer went to go work on their game. But because they worked on it and they started to work on it so late, it ended up being a World War II game called Vanguard, which, by the way, Sledgehammer also made Call of Duty World War II.
Yeah.
And if you notice, a lot of assets were reused. So they just went to a game that they already made and made a different version of it.
I'll always stand by this. World at War, in my opinion, was the best one ever made.
Oh yeah, it was good. I think that was Treyarch's first game. And that was like, because that was like the first Call of Duty to introduce like gore, violence, like straight up
blowing
like
off body parts,
like just fucking wild shit.
Yes.
It was a violent fucking Call of Duty game, and everyone's like, "This is good.
This is what we want."
And then like the fucking had like the storming of Berlin,
and you haven't had that ever since.
No, you haven't.
Like why?
I don't know. I mean, Modern Warfare 2019 was good in the sense of like it was very grounded to the whole like, you know, based off real world events.
Yeah.
Type thing. More tactical, slow paced experience for the story and stuff, which was I liked.
Oh, I enjoyed the story a lot. So I'm kind of hoping MW2 will be the same way.
It will be, but also they did say that MW2 will be more action based than the last one.
Yeah.
Which worries me, but I mean, I don't know. But the point I was getting at was like you have all these game studios that are working on the same title, they get an average 4 years to work on it.
Yeah.
And that's why the game feels the same or it just feels broken.
Rushed.
Now, Cyberpunk, when that came out, was not in true development for the entire time that they said it was. It was only in true development about a year or two before they released it.
Yeah.
So they got it up to a point, but they kept having issues and changing ideas and rebooting ideas, kind of what Skull and Bones is doing. And then the true development started the year or two before release, and that's why it became what it was.
Yeah.
Skull and Bones is the same situation.
You
with the recent reboot being in 2020.
And it really kind of like disappoints me because like we were saying earlier, I thought Skull and Bones was going to be more so of a Sea of Thieves type of game. You know, get off your ship or an enemy ship, you know, but a bigger, more advanced concept.
And they thought, and a lot of people have been going with it, the thought of it's going to be like Sea of Thieves, but it's going to be like a cross between Sea of Thieves and Black Flag. Which Black Flag is the best Assassin's Creed game that's ever been made.
And I definitely agree. But we will see, I guess, what happens because, I mean, even in Black Flag, you could board the enemy ship.
Mm-hmm.
You were fighting on the enemy ship, you know. But I also want the concept to where, oh, look, there's an island over there. I wonder what's on it, you know. But
and then when you hunt animals, you hunt it from your ship.
That doesn't make any sense.
So you're stabbing gators with a spear with your ship, like from the upper deck,
like whales or something. But what about going on land and hunting deer?
There was not one bit of land exploration in the gameplay trailer, and the only land exploration that you did have was at established ports,
which sucks.
and they really focused heavily on the customization of your ship.
Or like they said in the article, or prepare to build your pirate kingdom or whatever it said. What kingdom on your ship?
Where's my throne in
Yeah.
my fucking like on my sub deck?
It would be a cool idea if they had like an island you could maybe purchase in the game or something to actually have like AI start building, you know, a little city or a kingdom of your own or something like that, you know. Not saying if maybe it can get raided by other players or whatever the case may be. That's what I think of when I think of building my own kingdom, you know. Not, yeah, you can go fight other ships and take what they have, but you can't get off your ship to fight.
And it looks like the resources go towards like your
ship upgrading.
Your ship upgrading, maintaining it, your crew. Apparently there's going to be a system introduced in the game where the crew can mutiny you.
Maybe I don't want to buy the game. I would like to try it.
I'm definitely going to try it because it, you know, like I'm curious to see what it's going to be about, but I would be very cautious about it because
I want to see a lot of gameplay first. That's for sure.
That too. I mean, they did show the naval combat. It looked pretty arcadey. They might actually fix that. The one thing that I don't understand is the mutiny thing. Like you got to keep. They basically said you got to keep raiding other ships and like being successful at being a pirate. Otherwise, your crew will turn on you.
This is a multiplayer game, is it not?
Yes.
So what happens if your crew throws you overboard?
I don't know. That's the thing. Like it looks like most of your crew are just NPCs.
Yeah, I mean, because from my understanding of the game, from what I watched,
let me
you have your ship, and then your friends have their ships. So in reality, you're just kind of working together ship by ship, you know. Very, very curious about how it actually will go.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Because, I mean, I enjoyed Sea of Thieves when I first started playing it, but I got bored. Because you're doing the same thing over and over and over.
Now, the one thing about... Oh, look. I'm in the top fucking 4 search results.
That's exciting.
Search engine optimization, baby. The thing about... the one thing I do like about Sea of Thieves is the fact that... whenever you start the game, you start off with nothing. So essentially, the one thing that it started to steer me away, but then I started to understand it was...
So you're not overpowered.
When you load into the game, you have no resources, no treasure. Like you have the money that you still had from your last time. That carried over, but the only thing that doesn't carry over is like the resources you've gathered, the treasure you found.
Yep.
So when you leave the game and let's say your ship is full of treasure and you haven't turned it in, that's all gone.
Oh, I know. I mean, I like that idea too.
At first, I was like, what's the point of looting if I don't get to keep any of it? Like, what am I looting for? Essentially, you're looting for resources so that you can just, play, do these little raid things and then fight other ships. And, like, your crew is limited based on the size of your ship.
Yeah.
Which is, is fine and all. And it's like you have to really have a good crew to fight other ships.
100%.
And I remember, like, I get fucked up by really small ones.
Because they knew what the hell they were doing.
Yeah, I've been in a galleon and gotten absolutely destroyed by a sloop. Like, apparently, people that play exclusively sloops are insanely good at it because they can maneuver.
Have you ever played Holdfast Nation at War?
No.
They also have a naval portion in that game. And most of the time, the smaller ships, if they get behind the bigger ships, they're going to fuck you up. They have rocket ships that shoot literally like rocket, like fireworks that fire off the damn thing. It's good. You'll have to try it out.
Like, the fucking sloopers in Sea of Thieves are really good.
Yeah.
Like, they're really good. Every time I see a sloop, I'm like, fuck.
Do you still play Sea of Thieves?
No, I haven't played it in a while. Mostly because the people that I play with, I stopped playing with them.
Okay.
I just, it was fun. Like, I had fun. Like I liked being, like, hanging out. I would listen to sea shanties.
I love sea shanties.
But not the ones in the game. I would actually have, like, my Spotify open, and what I would do is, like, every time that I was with a crew, like, you could team up with other crews, and, like, as we were going, we would go to fucking fight someone, and because I could play my audio from this into the game, I would fucking play, like, the My Mother Told Me in Old Norse, and just, like, here, let me fucking, fuck. Let me play it for you real quick.
All right.
This is the version of the song. Like I would do this as my ship was approaching another ship.
Well, looks like they have some gameplay on there now. 26 minutes of gameplay.
Oh yeah. So this is what I would play. As I was approaching another ship, it'd be like,
I hear it.
and they're like, "What the fuck is that?" And it's just like it just goes on. It just and it's just like a ship is approaching, and that's what you hear through the fucking VoIP.
That would honestly be pretty sick.
Yeah, when I did that, people are like, "What the fuck is happening right now?" It was fun. That was the fun part about it. So let's look at the Skull and Blows.
Welcome
I like
to
Skull and Blow.
Bones.
Skull and Blow.
Our game takes place during the golden age of piracy, in a world inspired by the
Now, the customization of your ship is pretty cool, but
Yeah,
this is an
that's cool.
opportunity for Ubisoft to actually just mar the store with it.
Yeah, I was gonna say not charge $100
I
for
know.
you color your ship or your sails.
So, like, your whole crew is like fucking NPCs. If you suck, they can mutiny you. And I don't know what they do with...
You'll lose some progress and respawn at the nearest discovered den or outpost.
Oh, that's what happens. When they throw you overboard, you just spawn at the nearest fucking pirate den.
That most of your cargo will be recovered, and you'll have the opportunity to retrieve the rest from the wreckage. But you'd better be quick.
Because other
as
players will get it too. Is that a sloop?
also
No, that's
steal.
not a sloop.
You can undertake these either solo.
I mean, the naval combat aspect where you can just gather with... Like, this is the resource gathering right here.
That's dumb.
Yeah, that's this. You pull up to a tree and chop it down, and then you got all the animals you can kill are in the water.
That you can hunt for animal skins and meat. You'll also be able to harvest a variety of raw materials.
Now, the problem with all of this stuff is like you can harvest raw materials, but you're really only pulling up to the fucking island to do it. No one's getting out. And then all the stuff that you forge is back at the den.
Can you jump off your ship?
I haven't seen any of that happen. I mean, the cool thing is you can armor your ship up, you can add weapons to your ship.
Spyglass to identify lucrative trade routes.
So, like, you can obviously like watch
This
other.
looks like Black Flag right here.
Well, it does, but like when you board the ship, it's this. It's this animation right here. It's just a fucking cutscene. That guy looks fucking weird. Did you see that?
No. Looks like he has 2 mouths.
Are these two the same character? No, they're not.
Kind of look like.
I mean, like that right there, like him smiling, that looks so off.
I'm like disappointed watching this right now.
I know. And then, but like this is where they really showcase a lot of the customization of your captain, the customization of your ship.
I mean, that's great and all. But again, I want to be able to get off my ship and fight somebody.
I know. You would think that you could explore shit, but it doesn't look like the case at all. Like everything that I've seen so far is locked into your ship. Like you have these castles, you're shooting it from the water. You don't ever fucking raid it, and this is the raid. That's the raid party. That's the extent of that. Everything is in the ship.
Because in Black Flag, you could actually raid a coastal port.
And you would think that because it is a Black Flag, like spinoff,
yeah,
they would implement the same shit that they did in Black Flag, but they didn't. It's the same fucking. It's like you were locked to your ship, and the reason why I don't know why they're doing that.
Again, I want to try it, but I don't think I'll buy it.
Same.
I think people will be very disappointed.
I think they are too,
because I was misunderstood about the game.
Exactly, that's the thing. Everyone misunderstands what this game is really going to be.
Because from my understanding, before we even did this, it was going to be like Sea of Thieves. You can get off your ship, board other ships, go explore islands. If that was the case and it looked like that, yeah, I'd probably buy it. But that doesn't look like. What am I look like cutting down a tree when there's no one even up on the port or up on the island cutting down the tree?
You can't even get out to cut down your tree.
That's what I'm saying. Like you literally pull up next to it on the port or on the island, and it just all of a sudden magically getting cut down. It'd be cool if they actually implemented maybe people going off the boat onto the shore and gathering resources.
But the thing is,
you know?
it's like you don't get to do that. That would be them. So you're still on the ship while they do it.
You could get off too and do it with them. Just something showing that you're getting off the boat or your guys are getting off the boat to actually harvest it instead of you just sitting there watching a tree getting knocked down while you're facing forward at it with your ship.
Yes. It's just, I am willing to put money that when the beta comes out, everyone's going to be like, this is not what I thought this would be.
Oh, I guarantee it. Because I've been talking, people have talked to me about it. They're like, "Oh yeah, it's just like Sea of Thieves, but it looks so much better." I was like, "Cool." That sounds cool.
It's not.
No.
It's not. See, everyone's got this misconception that this is going to be Sea of Thieves with better graphics, and it's not.
No.
It's like, it's Pirate Ship Simulator.
Essentially, yeah.
And that's
what
it.
It looks like.
You don't ever get off the boat. You're on the boat. Like, sure, you can walk around on your boat. That's only fun for so long.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, I've walked around my ship 5 times.
I mean, granted, on
already.
Sea of Thieves, like when I was sailing around, like that cool, I would often just fucking sail around, but then I could actually stop at places and get out when I wanted to.
I've never been to that island before. I wonder what's on it.
Exactly.
You
and
know.
you can't do that here. And like, there's no incentive for like looking for treasure or questing because, and the other thing was the user interface is just memeable.
Yeah. Well, you know,
icons everywhere.
Like the only thing that you can do for like getting off or like treasures is killing other ships, and then their ship floats in the water, and you can pick it up.
Yeah, you can just sail by it, pick it up, and that's it. But what do you do with the treasure? It goes towards upgrading your ship.
Yeah.
Cool. What else can I do?
Exactly.
And we all know it's Ubisoft, so 80 to 90% of all the cool shit is going to be in the store.
Give me $40 and you can change the skin of your skin type and clothing of all your crew and whatever else you want to do.
Now the other issue is that Ubisoft has got this fucking leaky dick for fucking large open world games that are insanely grindy.
Yeah.
And they incentivize the XP boosts in the store. They've done it with Ghost Recon Breakpoint. They did it with Assassin's Creed, where they make it so grindy to where they create a problem and then sell you the solution, which is the XP boost, so that you can actually rank up and earn things better and faster. So you're not spending countless hours in a game. And it sucks because, yeah, it'd be really cool to make my ship look awesome, but I don't want to spend a fucking ton of money to do it.
I already paid $60 to buy the fucking game. I have to pay more
and
money.
That's the other thing. You're looking to pay potential, and then
60
this
to
game has been in
$70.
development since 2013. It's going to look and feel really outdated, especially for next gen. It's going to feel like an old game. So it's probably going to have old game issues, where stability issues, graphical issues. It's going to look like shit. It's going to mechanical issues for the game. It's going to feel outdated, and I think it'll be fun for a bit and then die.
Yeah.
Like I can honestly say, I can confidently say probably within a year of the game being out, Ubisoft will shut down the servers, because even during the development issues, the developing leads thought the game would get canceled by Ubisoft.
And the thing is too, pay to win issues typically. Yeah. Let's say I just buy the game, don't want to dump any money of it. I just want to play. Well, let's say someone else buys a game same time as me, is willing to dump $100 into it to get in-game money to upgrade his ship to max amount if they possibly can. Where's the fun in that? I'm just gonna get dominated, you know. I hate the aspect of pay $50, get 1,000,000 coins.
Diablo Immortal.
It's unfair.
Diablo Immortal was so pay to win that like players have maxed out their characters,
And they can't play against anybody else.
Yeah. Did you know how much it costs to max out one character?
No idea.
Just under $1 million.
And hasn't somebody actually done that?
Yes.
And he was complaining that he couldn't.
He can't matchmake with anybody because the game won't let him because he's too high level. Because he paid to win and he won. So now he can't play with anybody.
You won, bro.
Congratulations. Yeah, that's the issue with that. Like and like even with the Diablo thing, like the maxing out character is like it would take you 10 years to grind it, or it would cost you on an average $500,000 if because you can only rank up through loot boxes.
Yeah.
And at the best of luck, it would cost you around $100K. at the average luck, $500K. Worst of luck, just under $1 million. And then to max out to have multiple characters of every class and max those out, it would cost you several million.
Yeah. And
in real world money.
It's not fun. I like the idea of that, hey, I could possibly lose right now and get my ass kicked. I hate losing, but it's just the nature of the fucking game.
I know. Speaking of games that are old as fuck, feel old as fuck, and then they're probably going to be charging a lot, like full price for it. Skyrim Anniversary Edition is the first major $70 title on the Switch. So what just happened? Skyrim has had like 50 different versions of it.
Yeah.
Skyrim Anniversary Edition debuted unexpectedly on the Nintendo Switch last week at a sky-high price of $70. It claims the dubious honor of being the first AAA title to break the $60 barrier on a handheld device, and is also the most expensive edition of Skyrim to come out in recent history, which is wild to me. The game is 11 years old.
The game's 11 years old, selling for $70 right now because people are going to buy it, like I said earlier.
I don't think people will buy this one that much. Because no one can justify paying $70 for a fucking game that old.
But there's so much you can do.
Yeah, so I mean, if you really want to play it on the Switch, you could pay for it on the fucking. If you have it on Steam, the Steam Deck just came out. You can get it on the Steam Deck, and you don't have to fucking buy it again.
Or you could just go buy a disc version of it for the old 360 for like $15 at GameStop.
Yeah,
you know.
So Skyrim on the Switch has always been an oddball. It launched on November 17th, 2017, and it's been out on the Switch for years. Apart from the addition of some trinkets borrowed from the Breath of the Wild, is a straight port of the original game. Yes, the original game, not the special edition from 2016 or the Legendary Edition from 2013. Bethesda released the Anniversary Edition on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC on November 11th last year to coincide with the 10th anniversary of the original game. It cost $50 outright, but was also available as a $20 upgrade for Special Edition owners. Many players deemed it too costly, and Bethesda discounted it to $30. Now Bethesda expects some of the same fans to pick it up for even more. Kotaku theorizes that Bethesda chose the $70 price point because they didn't want to discount the base game, which costs $60. They're still charging full price.
Whole whopping $10.
And it even says, who would have thought Skyrim would be the game to show up with a $70 price point on Switch? The point is that charging $70 for a title that is now almost for the title now is almost comical. It's also once again available as a $20 upgrade for owners of the base game, which is slightly better proposition. But at the end of the day, it amounts to an unreasonable levy imposed on the game's most diehard fans. There are titles on the Switch that in the Switch store that cost more than $70 and similarly come bundled with DLC and other bonus content. Skyrim aside, no major release has jumped from the $60 price that has held steadfast for about 15 years to the looming $70 standard. It's only a matter of time until another publishers join Bethesda. Now, the problem with the Anniversary Edition is that it does not come with expansions.
No.
You're getting an upgraded base game for $70. Which is fucking insane.
And the funny thing is, too, on Steam, every few months, they always do a big blowout sale to where the game drops down to like $20.
Always.
You know?
Or free.
Yeah, or free sometimes.
And the Switch doesn't. Because it's Nintendo. I still cannot believe that they're selling the base game for $70.
No, it blows my mind. It's such an old game. And again, people will buy it, but I don't think they're going to get as much as they're expecting.
I think it'll get discounted pretty soon after it, after that. I say that probably in the next month, people are going to be like, I'm not paying $70 for Skyrim.
No. You can literally go grab the old Xbox 360 and play Skyrim if you really wanted to. You know, I mean, let's be honest. Most people have the older generation Xbox or PlayStation. But yeah, isn't Skyrim's just on Xbox, is it not? Or is that on PlayStation?
It's on all.
As well? It's on
It's on all.
PlayStation?
However, Elder Scrolls, the new Elder Scrolls 6, the new one they're making, will be PC, Xbox exclusive.
Maybe that's what I was thinking about then.
Skyrim is not, but the new ones will be.
Yeah.
Same with Fallout.
Yeah, because didn't Microsoft buy Bethesda?
Mm-hmm.
They're buying everything, man.
They are buying everything. They
They're
got more
buying
money than
everything.
They got more money than people exist. It's
Yeah.
crazy. So now we're going to talk about our last topic, which is fucking Overwatch 2. And now Alicia plays Overwatch, or used to, and she even is like, what the fuck is this?
I used to play Overwatch all the time.
Did you?
On the Xbox One, yeah.
So you will probably be able to relate to some of this and be like, what the fuck are they doing? So Overwatch 2 has had a multiple of short-term and long-term problems that have caused it to have a rocky start despite the game promising gameplay. So the highly anticipated Overwatch 2 launched with a handful of issues that gave the release a rocky start. Many fans felt the sequel was already unnecessary, and anything Blizzard added would feel more like a significant update than a sequel. Opinions on that will always vary, and Overwatch 2 will likely steady itself and succeed, with many of the launch day issues expected to be resolved in the first week. However, some issues fans had before launch day could become long-standing problems that will plague the new direction Blizzard had decided to take on the game. Overwatch 2 arrives as the sequel to the successful predecessor of the same name, a little past 2 years since Echo was previewed in Overwatch. Overwatch 2 comes with a handful of new changes, including being free to play, a battle pass system for cosmetics, reworked UI, and sound design. A new game mode, new maps, which apparently the maps are the same, they're just colored different. And characters released every other season.
But
and
it's new.
I know. And a transition to 5v5 matches, down from 6. However, it would seem that for every good change Overwatch 2 is making, there's a controversial design element that is countering it. Overwatch 2's shaky start with server instability and data transfer failures is disheartening. As disappointing as it is, video game fans are used to popular games having long queue times on opening day, and adding that mass DDoS attacks on Blizzard's Overwatch 2 servers only worsen the problems. Fans of the franchise are also worried about Blizzard's fundamental changes to Overwatch 2, with many new players feeling their experiences as sourced by the Battle Pass grind and reworked systems. Even returning players have their faults with the game in phone number requirements and overpriced cosmetics. Despite all of this, the consensus opinion seems to be that gameplay of Overwatch 2 is exceptional. Players loading in Overwatch 2 for the first time were left sitting in queues of 20,000 to 30,000 people.
that is ridiculous,
Nuts.
dude.
To make matters even worse, sometimes even fans would be stuck at a screen saying there are 0 players ahead of them in the queue, but they would still have hours waiting ahead, as it turned out to be a visual bug that led many to restart the game and put farther back in the queue. Those who got into the game faced another problem in mass DDoS attacks on Blizzard servers that would randomly force players out of the game. This would make players have to sit in queues again, and even if they did get back in, another disconnect would always happen.
The amount of rage I would have in my soul.
I know. Fucking Tim was like, I still can't. Days later, he's like, I still can't play.
I would give up. I would give up.
So luckily, the DDoS attacks have been suppressed, and once in the game, players have been able to stay in. Queue times are still semi-lengthy, but increasing server stability is more manageable and left the game stable. The other major technical problem players are experiencing was missing cosmetics, as all the first Overwatch cosmetics have been priced at $12,000. Fuck.
Imagine someone buying that on the first day.
Oh,
I
my
got the
God.
money to spend. Why not?
And heroes were being incorrectly locked. Luckily for the latter, the solution was restarting the game, which is helpful now, but not on the initial day, where restarting led to another long wait in the login queue. Any missing cosmetics were due to delayed account merges and the items from the original game taking longer than Blizzard expected to transfer to Overwatch 2. Over the days since, more items have returned to the game, and players will soon see all their cosmetics. Blizzard has come out and confirmed that no player data was ever deleted. Now about the Battle Pass. For previous players and Battle Pass owners, Overwatch 2's Battle Pass is just a new cosmetic system, but for new players or those who do not own it, it's an irritable grind. New players must play to fully unlock new Overwatch 2 characters like Kiriko and old characters, which will take around 100 quick play matches to complete. Along with that, unlocking the
play.
Huh?
Said if you can even get in a game.
Right. That's the other thing. If getting in is already a fucking pain in the ass, now you got to play 100 matches. Along with that, unlocking the competitive mode will require players to win 50 quick play matches. All of this means that if one is entirely new to Overwatch 2, a lot of grinding awaits before being able to play the game to its fullest. Most of these changes were made to prevent cheaters and smurfs. While long term they will probably help with that, it hurts new player experience. New characters are starting to support hero Kiriko will need to be unlocked through the Battle Pass. forcing non-Battle Pass owners to reach level 55 to unlock them. These systems have pros and cons, and players will have to wait to see how Blizzard responds with the initial feedback. So if you're new to the game, you don't have access to this. See, I was telling one of my buddies, I was like, dude, they fucking locked heroes behind the Battle Pass. He's like, no, they didn't. But he's been playing Overwatch. New players, on the other hand, are experiencing a completely different thing.
Yeah, it's a shitty experience. Why would you want to? I mean, to be honest with you, if I'm buying a game, I want to be able
It's free to play.
Well, I mean, hell, if I'm playing the damn game, I want to be able to play and have fun. And I play great. Now I got to grind to get level 55.
Now you got to grind and play great.
Yeah, exactly. That's not fun.
And Overwatch is already really hard.
It's an aggressive game.
Because
you need to know what you're doing with your hero in order to do good.
And there are many people that have already been playing this that know what they're doing, and the new maps aren't really exactly that new. They're very familiar, and people are already fucking dominating it. And you being a new player, you are fucked. It's gonna you're
not having
you're
fun.
Gonna struggle.
You're not having fun.
That doesn't sound fun to me. I actually consider getting it, but I'm like, because I'm new, I'm like, why would I do that to myself? I'd rather just enjoy myself in squad, even though I hate it sometimes.
I haven't played Squad in a while, but apparently they fixed the bugginess to it.
Yes, but that, you know how they fixed it? By completely getting rid of the mods.
There's some mods on there.
There are, but the only ones that are active are the Galactic ones.
Pretty sure the Starship Trooper one's on there too.
The Middle East Escalation is gone.
Really?
Potato Fields doesn't even use it anymore.
That was a very good mod.
It was, but it had issues.
Yeah. I
like
mean, mods
Riflemen couldn't resupply anybody. There was a lot of bugs with putting rallies down, vehicle bugs. There's a lot of issues with that mod. It was an enjoyable mod because, like, you know, it gave more weapon variety for both sides.
New factions,
and I think the issues are the reason why that everybody just got rid of it. Because I look at Potato Fields.
I couldn't play Squad for months, and I still don't know if I can. I haven't given it a shot yet.
Because of the mods?
I was able to play. I could play the mods fine, but like actual like regular servers, I can't move more than 5 feet without stuttering.
Yeah, that was what my buddy Bosch was having issues with. He's like, the game would crash every time he tried playing it.
Yeah,
and he couldn't play it.
I've undownloaded it or reinstalled it. I've tried so many different things.
He had to delete the mods to get it to work. He had to unsubscribe to them and then play it like just vanilla in order to get the game to work.
It sucks.
It does suck. Vanilla isn't really that fun. I mean, it's better now, but like even still, like when you're playing a faction that's like you're against fucking Rangers or Marines.
You're playing as the Insurgency, playing against them, you're not gonna have fun.
No, because you're rocking fucking AKs with iron sights and they've got ACOGs and shit, and you're just getting your ass pounded.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Or you get a fucking Mosin Nagant, and you're literally racking 5 rounds, and that's it. And you got to reload, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you got this motherfucker running at you with the saw. You're done. Yeah.
Hell Let Loose has that same issue.
I like Hell Let Loose, too.
Well, I do like it, but you got the Car 98 with iron sights up against an M1. M1's almost always going to win.
It's realistic, though.
Yeah, it is.
It's how it was. I mean... Even, well, Spanish insurgents, they have AKs, but they also have more than just that.
I know.
So
now they have our shit.
Yeah, they got the good.
They got the good. Thanks, Joe. So, let me see. So, one problem that fans have responded to Blizzard is already partially fixed in Overwatch 2 is the phone number requirement to access the game. Initially, players would need a non-prepaid phone number on their Battle.net account to play Overwatch 2. This was done to help prevent cheating and smurfs. However, players have responded harshly to the non-prepaid requirement, and thus an official Blizzard forum post developers responded with a change. Any Overwatch player with a connected Battle.net account, which includes all players who have played since June 9th, will not have to have to provide a phone number to play. This change is looking to be implemented on October 7th and will solve this problem while allowing Blizzard to use the previous rule for any new accounts. So if you're a new account, you can't have a prepaid phone.
Which is bullshit.
Still, I mean, I get it.
I understand.
But it still sucks.
Well, what if I'm brand new, don't need a PC?
And broke.
Like, I just spent everything on that, and I live paycheck to paycheck, you know? Get fucked, can't play Overwatch 2.
Imagine you like, hey, did you get Overwatch 2? Like, I have Cricket Wireless.
Yeah, you're fucked.
That's fucking wild. You are poor.
Yeah,
You can't play
fucking
Overwatch,
literally.
you poor little peasant.
Insert meme here.
Maybe if you would have just moved out of poverty,
Yeah, maybe if you got a job or something like that.
stayed in school. So the technical issues from launch day will resolve, and despite divisions over the first new Overwatch 2 skins, players will have a chance to enjoy the gameplay. However, Blizzard may want to be careful with the feedback it's receiving about the game's new features. Even though fans understand why these changes were made, if it affects more actual players than keeping out the bad ones, it will be detrimental to the game. Overwatch 2 will likely become very successful and continue to dominate the hero shooter genre, but a rocky start in many ways will worry players if no changes occur.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
I agree with that.
Because, I mean, Valorant's a pretty popular game.
Valorant's a lot like Overwatch, from what I've seen.
It's like Overwatch combined with, like, I can't think of the name of the game. CSGO.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, with CSGO, it has an actual marketplace where people can sell shit.
I've played, like, Counter-Strike on the original Xbox, but I never played it on PC because I was told I'm too late to the game.
Overwatch 2 is not being received well. According to Alicia, she told me that she looked into the Overwatch subreddit, and it is filled with people pissed off.
I mean, just reading that, I definitely understand why.
I do too. I mean, like I said, on one hand, I understand changes. On the other hand, I feel like this is going to hinder the active players, and it's going to help prevent the bad ones.
The server queue. I've only played one game that I've ever had issues with getting into a game, and that was Escape from Tarkov. When that game first came out, you're sitting for like 45 minutes to an hour to get in a game.
I mean, even now, you can sit up for 20 minutes.
And I hate it.
Yeah.
It makes me not want to play it. I haven't played the game in probably, 8 months now.
I haven't played in a while either. I think June was the last time I played it.
And that right there sounds like the issues I ran into at first, just for the long.
Now, the difference is Overwatch and Tarkov are very different games.
100%.
So, like, getting into it's like you wait forever to get into a server and you get fucking smoked off the rip and you lose everything.
Pissed.
It's like why I wasted so much time.
I just wasted an hour sitting here
just to die off the rip and have to do it all over again and then lose everything anyway. Yeah, this wipe. I started playing the recent wipe, and then I stopped because I noticed that a lot of people weren't playing it.
If you don't start, especially with Tarkov, if you don't start when the wipe starts, you're going to be behind, and you're going to get fucked up.
And the wipe happened while I was at work,
Yeah.
so I didn't have the time to dive into it. Day one of wipe, it happened while I was at work. I'm like, I'm going to get on it tonight. By the end of my shift, people were already like level. They already had the fucking marketplace. They had the flea market already.
I don't even know what to change level to it for. It used to be 10.
What do you mean for the flea market?
Yeah.
For the flea market, I think it is 10 now. It used to be 15.
So it was 10, then they bumped it up. But if it's back down 10, I mean, it's kind of a good thing.
I think they bumped it back down.
They also changed how they operate the marketplace a lot. Before.
You're talking about before they got rid of the fucking dropping things for people?
What do you mean?
So, like, when you go into a raid, you can't, like, shit that you brought in a raid, certain items, if you drop it, deleted.
Oh, no, I'm talking about, like, the flea market. So you know how when you bring something out, it says, you brought this out of a raid. But if it's in your secure lockbox, it doesn't say that. Well, before, you used to be able to pull keycards out of the raid in your secure lockbox and sell them for 500,000 rubles. Now you can't do that, from my understanding.
Yeah, you can't.
Which makes the game fair but annoying at the same time.
You can't even drop key cards anymore.
Yeah.
There are a lot of like keys, some medical supplies, ammo types. You can't bring them in and drop them anymore.
Yeah. Personally, I find it to be bullshit, but
their reason for doing it is to stop people from like paying people to come bring in like a fucking good ass loadout for them.
Yeah.
And then extracting them. So I get why they did it, but you're hurting the whole. In fact, it ended up ramping up the cheating.
cheating in the game is ridiculous.
It is like when they actually announced that they were going to be doing that, like where you couldn't bring certain items in anymore and drop it for people. Another one was the a docs case.
Yeah.
You can't bring that anymore and drop it for people. It deletes it all. So what had happened, they're like, we're doing it to combat cheating. So what happened was cheaters would be coming in and cleaning a lobby for the people they were carrying.
Yeah. And they just get everything in the fucking lobby anyways.
Yes.
I know quite a few people personally that have cheated in the game because they're tired of losing to cheaters, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because it is a very, very common thing.
I know. It's insanely common. I can't tell you how many times I get fucking head eyes from the dumbest from miles away.
And it just makes me not want to play.
That's why I haven't been playing.
I haven't played it in months because of it.
And they don't do anything about the cheating.
Nope.
In fact, it's incentivized. Like they'll ban the account, but the cheaters buy another account and they're making money off the cheating. So they don't have an incentive to get rid of the cheaters.
Yeah, because they just ban your account. You can just make a new one.
Mm-hmm.
Buy the game again, but you already made fucking $500 from cheating for a couple days, and spent $100 for the top tier thing again, you know. But most of them, you just buy the game. What is it, like $50, $40? I think for the base game.
I don't remember,
But it's not a lot.
It's
the
not
most
a lot.
expensive version's like $120.
I haven't played Tarkov on this new wipe because of a lot of these issues, where it's just like I was having fun. I like the challenge. But the cheating made it not worth it.
Nope.
It was just not worth it anymore. And like certain things were like, some of the guys I was playing with would help me out, you know, but they changed things to where people couldn't help you anymore in certain aspects. And like, I'm just like, dude, I'm fucked. Like I didn't get a head start on wipe day and I'm fucked. Versus like other people that have been playing the second wipe happened. And now they got access to the marketplace and like the flea market, and they have like fucking Jaeger already. I got Jaeger really fast this one.
Yeah.
I did that immediately.
I mean, you almost have to.
Well, I did. I did it immediately. I got really lucky because usually that's like the first thing people will do is they go camp that fucking shit and wait for people. But the nice thing about starting off at wipe is that everybody has fucking dog shit.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. If you don't start at wipe, you're gonna not have a fun time.
Yeah. If you're starting off like a couple weeks after wipe, it's gonna be a struggle.
Yeah. So I won't play.
Yeah, I know. I'm the same way, dude. It's fucking wild. So are you going to the Kenosha veteran stand down thing?
Probably not.
No?
My boss will be there, but I won't be.
Oh, so in November you're not going? Yeah, November's a busy month for me. That's the month that I'm going to that. I got booth shit coming for that. I got booth shit coming for the Air Force thing.
Yeah, I'll be hunting pretty much most month of November if I'm not working.
The opening day is the 15th.
I bow hunt.
Oh, yeah.
Bow hunting started last month.
I was going to buy a rifle until I got told that they're letting me go, or they were taking me off the schedule at work, because the rifle that my father-in-law's bringing, it's like a fucking 60-year-old 30-06 rifle, and they don't make parts for it anymore.
Yeah. And
the bolt carrier group is fucked. It won't extract. And because they don't make parts anymore, they're going to have to like custom build one. But if they can't get that done, get it fixed, my other option is using an SKS with iron sights.
I have a 8mm Mauser with iron sights.
I don't want to hunt with iron sights.
Better than nothing.
Honestly, I would just rather spend the money on buying a fucking new rifle with a scope.
Yeah.
Taking it to the range, zeroed out, like spend like $600 on a rifle and a scope, and just, you know, go to the range, zero it out, get it ready for the season. I don't want to fucking, because it's my first hunting experience. I don't want to hunt my first time with a fucking iron sights.
Yeah, I mean,
I could. I just don't want to.
Where are you guys going hunting?
UP.
You got land up there or something?
They do. Apparently, the land that they're going on is public.
Okay.
Which I don't know how I feel about.
I mean, I hunt public bow land, so. Well,
yeah.
It can also be gun hunting, but it's not very well for gun hunting.
I don't know. They go every year. Alicia told me, she's like, I didn't want to tell you this, but I don't know the last time they've got anything. So I think this year they're going to really try to make an effort to get something because her dad is going up early in November to scope.
Check it out.
He's gonna go glass it out and check out for deer and all that stuff. My dad does that same thing. He bow hunts, and he fucking months, like the whole month leading up to the season, he was on the weekends just in a tree stand with binoculars, like standing there, just normal ass plain clothes, just like he's like, send me a photo. I'm like, do you just stand in this tree for like 8 hours a day?
Just fucking hanging out.
Yeah, he does. He just stands in this tree stand where it's a standing tree stand, and he's just harnessed into the tree. And he just looks and he scopes. I mean, it works because he fucking gets a deer every time. It's not like a fucking trophy buck or anything,
Still
but
getting deer.
he's still getting deer.
Venison.
So he's like, that's what he's doing. Like, it's a small buck that he'll usually get, but he's successful by doing it. I mean, he's always been like a fucking pro sport guy. Like when it comes to like outdoor sport type of stuff, he used to be a pro bass fisherman.
Okay.
And then he like started switching from bass to muskie and all that other stuff. So he got really hard into the fucking muskie fishing scene. And I mean, he took me to a fucking muskie fishing convention where they sell baits and shit. And the dude dropped like $600 in just bait and lures.
I couldn't bring myself to do that.
And I'm like, how many of these things have you caught? He's like, 2. I'm like, you've only ever caught 2? He's like, yeah, but I've raised a few. Meaning like he got them surfaced, but they didn't take the bait. So apparently muskie fishing is extremely hard.
Muskies are scary.
Yeah, they're dinosaurs.
Yeah, they're
These fucking
scary.
they got fucking massive teeth.
Yeah, they'll fuck you up.
They will, and they're huge. They're fucking huge. They're huge. They got like inch-long teeth and shit, and they're just like, ugh, they're dinosaurs.
My brother's a pretty avid fisherman and hunter, and I think he's only maybe caught 1 or 2 muskies his entire life.
Yeah, muskie are hard to catch. Yeah. They're really hard to catch. And I never realized that until my dad told me about it. He's just like, yeah, dude, muskie fishing is not easy.
Yeah.
And he got bored with, stop doing that.
Sorry.
Are you fucking ADDing over here?
Kinda.
You should see what my buddy Nelson does. Like, Alicia has a thing of sage over here, and he'll just fucking play with the sage.
Yeah, it's right there.
He'll just fucking play with the sage. He'll like,
yeah.
There's one time he took it apart.
I have a fidget spinner in my office that I fuck with all day.
I don't fidget. I mean, I fidget, but I crack my knuckles and shit. That's my
kind of ADD, and I think about it. I never really thought about it before.
I think I am. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm ADHD slightly. I might be retarded. I don't know.
Probably.
I think I'm more retarded than anything.
I'll go with that one.
Did you see the
too many jumps?
So did you see the fucking shit going around about the walleye fishermen putting weights in their fish?
Yeah, I watched the video. Dude, those guys were ready to grab the pitchforks and fuck that dude.
Those guys are getting charged.
Yeah, so all their equipment that they had gotten sponsorships for have to return it all.
Mm-hmm. The boat, all of it,
everything. It was a very serious allegation.
Because last year they won every tournament, and they won like $300,000 off that, plus sponsors and shit and endorsements.
We've been doing it for years, dude.
Yeah, and like literally, they've been suspected for like the last year. They're like, this is very odd.
This fish should not weigh this much.
That was the one thing where people finally called it out. They said those fish are the same size as mine, maybe even a little smaller, and they weigh more than mine. And they cut it open. They put like fucking lead egg weight, like egg sinkers, pliers, walleye fillets. They stuffed these fish. For those that don't know what we're talking about, if you're an avid like outdoor sports person, check this shit out. Hang on, walleye. Oh, that was a fucking
Wally.
I was gonna click on this. Dude, Fox News, every fucking buddy is all over this shit.
There it is. At the end of the video, they cut it open.
Here.
Tell us how you got them today. Everybody's struggling. You guys pulled it out. Good work.
Everybody's struggling, but you pulled it off. Tell us how you did it. I want to hear this.
If I had to guess how you got them, you drove all the way over to Lorraine and you fished your stomping grounds and you guys beat them up in Beaver. That's your spot.
No, we went east this time.
East?
What? Snap weights and crankbaits, like always.
That's your staples. Snap weights and crankbaits.
Snap weights and crankbaits. Snap weights, crankbaits, and fucking egg sinkers, bruh.
Digging the mud, right?
No, we were probably about halfway down and 72 feet wide.
72 feet.
Well, let's
of water.
see.
Getting
Let's,
those baits down there. Uh-oh. You're looking grouchy, Brad.
Hang on.
2403, your new leaders.
I'm really curious.
Over $2,000 there, I think.
I don't think I've ever seen the lead up to this.
I've watched all of it.
Have you?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. You're looking grouchy, Brad.
Understandably so. You look pissed. Why?
That fish is the same size as mine.
So they're so those that are listening, they're at the weigh-in of the fish,
Your guys helping out.
and then the people are challenging it.
Team Canyon Coolers, go ahead and put that thing up here. Canyon Coolers, big sponsor of Lake Erie Walleye Trail and the Fall Brawl.
Let's see. We're gonna skip ahead a little bit. It's a long video.
Tyler Birdbowl,
Oh, yeah, it is.
Jeremy Lizzie. Out here somewhere, she's a saint. I can't believe she married this knucklehead. Good work. Good work. Fat Five.
Oh, that's them right there, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Oh, so that weigh-in wasn't them.
What's up?
That weigh-in before was not them.
I don't believe so. I'm pretty. So they're weighing everybody in right now.
Yeah.
Weighing in a big fish. 790. Weighing in a big fish. 790. Locking it in. 790.
Okay. They only had 4.
I gotta tell you, you gotta beat 16 some pounds. 33.91. 33.91.
30-something pounds for 4 walleye.
Yeah, and the one to beat was 16.
So they doubled it.
Yeah.
It was double what it should have been.
Your new leaders locking it in. Team of the year.
I think what they thought going into this was that people were going to have big walleye, and they didn't. They completely overestimated like what the heaviest one would be.
Yep.
And they stuffed the fish just to be sure, not realizing that 16-pounder was the one to beat.
Yeah.
And then it was like the same size fish, but
33 pounds.
but fucking double the weight almost.
Yeah.
Definitely Team of the Year champions. Round of applause. You got Chase Kaminsky, Jake Runyon. We need pictures of those fish over here. Stick around a while.
Hear that, lady? There's no way.
33.
That someone said they always win.
They do always win. They win everything.
That it?
They were
One
winning
more.
everything.
Come on.
Well, can't you still get
DJ?
endorsements and sponsorships off of placing?
I believe so.
So why wouldn't they just be like, take, if they were smart, they could have just like, made the fish maybe 2 pounds more than what it would have been. Like, because sometimes fish by length, like they could be a thick boy underneath and, it happens, but fuck.
And not puts 33 pounds.
No, I think what was it, like 8 pounds per fish that they added.
Something like that.
And Kevin Mowry coming up the scales. They got 3.
Oh man. So they're showing the fish. They're getting ready to post for photos.
616. 616. Not what you wanted, right, TJ?
This was like all over my TikTok feed. All over.
The place, dude.
Those
That
are
it?
really small. Those are actually really small. Those don't look that big at all.
Probably why people were pissed and were like, yeah, it doesn't seem right.
Look, it's 33 pounds for those fuckers. Like, if I were to look at those, and I don't know nothing about fishing weight, if I were looking at those fish, I would probably guess that was about 18 pounds, 16 to 18 pounds worth of fish.
Yeah.
Given, like, okay, so we're looking at it, maybe they're about 5 to 8 pounds per.
Yep.
And that's roughly about, I don't know, like maybe like 20 pounds at the
Yeah.
heaviest.
Yeah.
This guy's walking up like, what? I wonder what that dude was saying. He's like looking back, he's like, you're just mad that you lost. So now the judge, somebody's talking to the judge, or the officiant, I should say.
Yeah.
And by the way, the fact that he's wearing blue jeans with sandals is very strange. It's a very strange choice.
Maybe Crocs, you know. I understand that.
But he was wearing fucking slides. And I am assuming it's not that warm out.
We're going to do a little tally.
Absolutely not.
I think that's everybody. We'll double check the scores.
And they're the last ones to go up there.
Yeah.
Tent over here, let us know what we got going on. We'll conclude with some of the Levi raffles. Steve, if you got raffles over there, let us know what's going on over there.
Skip up like 30 seconds. I think it's coming up here pretty soon. Skip like 30 seconds.
Somebody comes up to challenge. Is that the guy that's challenging right here? Everyone's like, there's no fucking way. You can see the this is the
Spike.
most, you can see where the views spike. Most replayed part.
Yeah.
We got weights and fish!
There's fucking weights in these. Dude, everyone.
I know. Let's keep going. Wait, hang on. So, I'm curious to like the conversation that was being had over here about it, you know?
Yeah.
And he didn't even announce that, hey, we're going to double check something real quick.
I know. He's just like, all right, give me your fish.
And this is where he starts to get ready to cut them open. Everybody's gathered around to watch, too. They're just kind of like watching from afar.
Like, you know,
and they
you're fucked.
swarm him as soon as they fucking hear.
The guy just looking at his phone. He's like, fuck, fuck, fuck. Like the nerves. But yeah, granted, he cheated. Fuck him. But you know how nervous he probably is right now?
Oh, he's
That
probably
video.
shitting his pants because he knows they're cutting it open.
Him and his partner.
His partner wasn't even over here.
For sure, he was the other guy that was holding the fish with the one picture.
Yeah, but he walked away.
Yeah.
He wasn't over here when they cut it open. I'm trying to listen to what they're saying.
Yeah, those guys, there ain't no fucking way.
I know. I think this is where he starts cutting it open. Cameraman, do your job. Look at the guy.
Jesus.
You cutting it open now? Digging in?
We got weights and fish. There we go.
And then everybody fucking swarms in. I love this part.
Where's the other one?
It's wild. Oh, he's fucking. This went from a professional fishing tournament to the deadliest catch season 2022. Let's see. This is a close up of it.
Oh, I haven't seen this.
He's like, okay.
Fucking piece of shit.
He's cutting it out. He like pulls
That
out
was solid. That was a big ass weight. You see that thing?
they put like 3 in each one.
Every single fucking fish.
And he was just standing there watching.
Look at all the weights in there.
Hell yeah.
We all fucking know it. Look at this. He's pulling them out. He ends up pulling out. He's like, look, a walleye fillet.
Jesus fucking Christ.
A filleted fish. Look at this. Is a walleye fillet.
I was wondering what that was. I couldn't hear it at first, and then I found out. Oh, they're
Do you have anything to say, Jake?
I would have left. He just standing there watching.
he can't. What's he gonna do? As soon as he tries leaving, they're gonna fuck him up.
Oh, hell yeah.
Everybody listen to me right now. Jake, I want you to leave. I don't want anybody to touch these guys
Oh, I mean, that guy's pretty respectful about it. I want you guys to leave. No one fuck with
At first, he was fucking furious, and then he collected himself and said, "You guys need to get out of here."
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking look at it.
Oh, hell yeah, you should probably follow police report. You know how much money they have stolen over the years doing this?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's pretty nice fish, not gonna lie, but...
I know. They're good fish. It's just like, damn, man, take the L. He's just pulling them out one by one. More fillets.
Fillet.
I still don't understand this. Fucking. I saw them like, they're just wearing fucking slides and jeans and shit. I was like, what was the. Why?
Why would you stuff a fillet in there, you know?
I think it was to
Try and hide it,
hide
maybe?
it, probably. To make it so if they were to feel it, it would just feel like meat in there.
Yeah.
So where
That
it's,
makes sense.
So that way it's like if there's nothing solid that they can feel, but still,
Yeah.
why add that plus the weights, you know, and the pliers? They put pliers in them too. They put pliers in one of them.
We're out of weights. Just
Fucking
throw your
insanity.
fucking pliers in there. Fucked hard.
Did someone say tard?
You said, what are you thinking, fucked hard?
Look, there's all that shit right in here.
Let me take pictures. You fucked over a lot of people, man.
I think I was very casual. You fucked over a lot of people, man. Shoot,
Dude just got done
fucking
smoking a dope.
Cheech and Chong in the fucking
lake.
at the fishing tournament.
That's fucking wild.
It is wild. It's kind of crazy, and like they drove away. I mean, they drove away, and about what the fuck is that? Okay,
dude, I can only imagine the DNR is charging them with.
Oh my god, yeah, I'm sure they're gonna face DNR charges for doing that,
100%.
because isn't that what would that be considered?
I don't know, practicing malnutrition of wildlife, maybe.
I
mean,
probably
you're shoving fucking objects into a fish.
That's true. I mean, they weren't throwing them back, but
I know.
but the meat's not usable
No,
after that.
you're putting lead fucking weights into it.
Yeah, you're just throwing the fish out. You can't eat it. You can't make a walleye fillet out of that
And for the tournament, and I'll just go buy myself some walleye from the store
from the
now.
market. Fuck, dude. Yeah, these dudes are pieces of shit. It's hilarious. Like, you know, Jake Runyon was sure he was going to win pre the loot tournament in Lake Erie. Yeah, of course you knew you were going to win. You were cheating. It is wild that these dudes fucking were doing this. It's on CNN. It's on Fox News.
They're doing it for a long time, dude.
I know. It's hilarious and how much that fucking I never understood. I even talked to my dad about this. I was like, how big of a deal? He's like, this happens a lot more than you realize. Like people cheating like this.
Yeah.
And it's very often in tournaments that are not that, you know, crazy, but it does happen.
Yeah.
He was saying that like it's a lot more common than you think when people like weigh down their fish to fucking, you know. But like I actually saw a video of a fucking. It was like in Japan, a fishing tournament in Japan. They were fucking metal detectors around the fish.
Not a bad idea.
And some people think that lead can't get picked up in a metal detector. That's not true. You can still pick up lead.
Yeah.
There's a lead setting in some of these. And now I'm in the wrong fucking section. It's all like actual cheaters. Caught my girlfriend cheating on me inside a car.
Stolen valor.
The fucking, was that Stolen Valor? Oh, yeah, Stolen Valor. Oh yeah, have you ever seen this? The largest Stolen Valor fraud in history.
I don't think so.
Hundreds of thousands stolen.
Didn't
She
she
convinced
rating too?
Huh?
Didn't she actually have like a VA rating or some shit too?
She had the VA convinced that her service was real,
That's wild.
which is nuts.
Yeah.
Absolutely nuts. The VA was convinced because her paperwork looked legit. And the VA when they looked at her, they said, yeah, okay. Service connects.
Here's your 100%.
And it was like she fucking fucked over the VA. Like that one was absolutely nuts. Let's end it with this guy, with Angry Cops talking about the Stolen Valor.
I like Angry Cop.
Huh?
I like Angry Cop.
I know, I love him too. Fucking drill sergeant. Taking his sandbags from here to there. Why? I don't even know.
That's like his original video.
I think it was his original.
Yeah, like two of them like that.
Gather round, children.
Yeah.
Gather round, pull up a seat, semicircle. Let me enthrall you with the most extravagant ancient shard ancient shard to new players.
I don't
This
care
is the
about
best part.
fucking Raid
Let's
Shadow
get into
Legends.
a thoroughly scheduled dose of stolen valor.
I love
Sarah's
Stolen Valor.
story is a little convoluted,
It's
but
fucking
I'm going
funny.
to do my
Let's see.
best to try and keep you up to date with all the information that was coming out as I discovered it. Get ready for a fucking roller coaster. Sarah
I'm
Kane
ready.
and I joined
I'm
the
ready,
Marines
Angry
around
Cops. I'm ready, Storm.
2006 or 2007, deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan where she was blown up, received a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star with V device, V being for valor, for pulling some Marines out of a burning vehicle while being engaged by the
That is a bold thing to say. That is bold to say that this is what you did when you really didn't do it. Like, I saved Marines from a blown up vehicle. I dragged them out of the fire, blah, 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 blah. And like, that is your fucking lie.
You got a lot of balls.
This is fucking ballsy, bro.
enemy. Now,
But this whole thing actually highlights the issues with the fucking VA verifying this, because it was like, you could have easily verified this.
Oh, 100%.
And they just took her information and rolled with it.
some of the shrapnel inside of her body due to this roadside explosion that causes this entire event led to her receiving the Purple Heart. What she got out of the military was basically...
I am curious. She said she had shrapnel on her body. And if she did get a rating, did they not check?
If you don't put in for it, no.
Hey, listen, you're pretty busted up. We can't keep you here anymore. And I had a hard time switching over to civilian life. She started leaning on different military organizations for those that were wounded and having a hard time moving into the civilian world. And they assisted her. She eventually got the job as the commander of a VFW post in Rhode Island. Now, you might
Oh my God.
think that this is a great feel-good story of a wounded veteran coming full circle, helping themselves out, relying on others, and then getting a job back in the veteran community. Hell, it's the VA.
Yeah.
But it doesn't end there. You see, 2 years ago, Sarah was diagnosed with lung cancer, which then metastasized.
Oh, yeah. She lied about that.
I have lung cancer.
Yeah.
I'm
to her
pretty sure
brain.
I heard
It
about
was
that.
terminal. What a bummer. But it's because
What a
of
bummer.
this cancer that we got to know Sarah. You see, Sarah contacted the Hunter 7 Foundation, a fantastic non-for-profit focusing on
that's his
assisting
foundation, too,
veterans
isn't it? He works
and
with
their
them.
medical
I think
needs
so.
That it just so happens I work alongside
Yep.
with. Now, after some talks back and forth
Yeah.
with some head honchos at Hunter 7,
So he had a personal investment with this.
everybody was on board to helping Sarah out.
Because he was fooled, and now he was pissed that he got fooled with this.
But some
I don't blame
issues
him. I would be
started
too.
popping up. Because once you take an individual in the military sphere,
Yeah, I'm trying to
and
remember how they
elevate them on
caught her.
social media, there's a lot of prying eyes on there. So if something's not right, well, someone's gonna find it, aren't they? Aren't
Yep.
they, Sarah?
Yeah,
Oh,
they
and
fuck.
we found it. We found it.
I
Now
love him so
here's
much.
Where it gets juicy. Sarah never had cancer. In fact, she was never wounded overseas because she never went overseas because she never served in the Marine Corps. She didn't serve in any branch. She's a civilian who made it all up. Fairy dust. So Sarah, here's a fake. But how do we know that she's a fake?
Yeah, I
just
want to
said
know
that
how they
she
figured this out.
her military service and that she didn't have cancer. But how do we know that? Right? How do we know these things? I'm so glad you asked. You see, Sarah went to a lot of public events as a Purple Heart recipient and a commander of a VFW. And in some of these public events, well, she would wear dress uniform, looking pretty snazzy. Now, somebody found out some of those medals didn't quite line up with her DD-214. And if you're not...
Yes, that's what it was. Always make your DD-214 reflect your awards, because people will find it and they will call it out. And I'm curious to what caught on to that, where it's like they look like that doesn't look right.
not familiar
Yeah.
with what a DD-214 is, it's...
And we know what
Reserve it.
DD-214
Well,
is.
it didn't want any other stolen valor fucking dummies to try and count what was a male, what was a 14, and started fixing it and mixing and matching and diddly-dooping it, so then it looked like she was this male Marine. That is some Inception shit. going on there. Oh,
So
boy,
she got her hands on
it's
DD214 and
also
fucking
there. What
like
do they want?
forged her
They want
name
and
over it.
forged it all over.
They want attention and they're gonna get it. Now, when people saw Sarah in her uniform and with this DD214 looking like things didn't match up, well, eyebrows were raised and people went a little further in there. Now, I don't know
Yes.
how much further you gotta go, because if somebody fucking salutes like this,
Oh, that's bad. That's bad.
Yeah, you look like a fucking piece of shit.
It's like that
why are your
right
legs
there
together,
would have been an
shitbags?
immediate red flag. Why are you saluting like that?
Yeah.
Hand wide open, legs fucking shoulder width apart. I mean, your hand is all weird, but I mean, honestly, a lot of people's hands are weird like that, so I can't really
Yeah.
judge that.
But
It's the rest of it.
yeah.
and says that they're in the fucking military or were at some point, you're high as a kite. The old fucking man next door is doing a better salute than her. With the fucking parade rest, standing, feet separated, shoulder width apart, hands splayed out with your fingers all fucked up like you're ready to high five a robot.
Angry Cop's fingers are fucked up too.
And
She's-
then hand up here
Look at
saluting.
his finger.
That
Yeah.
is in no way, shape, or form
He
the
broke
way
his
the
fingers,
position
100%.
of the hands
Oh,
that was
100%.
taught. You can't fake being in the military because it's such a unique experience, and eventually, if you keep it up long enough, which is the cardinal sin for all Soul and Valor people, you get caught because they can't stop.
That's the thing. Being in the military is such a unique experience that there are mannerisms that you can't fucking make up that are very, very, very significant.
Yeah.
And within that community, where we can totally tell you're full of shit because the mannerisms don't line up with how specific it is and when you're in, you know.
Yeah.
And it's always the really subtle shit. And you see it in movies and shit all the time. That's why like a lot of military people hate movies that involve the military. I will say this too. Speaking of that, you know what show actually gets the uniforms very right? The
don't know.
Superman show on HBO.
Never watched it.
I mean, I didn't want to because it's a CW show, but it's a CW show and they got the military uniforms correct. Where it came, like even the badges, like the airborne badges, they're all in the right order.
I think they're supposed to have one thing wrong on the uniforms or something like that, from my understanding.
I don't know what it is. I looked at it.
There's a rule for it.
I
though.
think the one that I did notice maybe is that like none of the patches match each other.
Yeah.
Like the unit patches, everyone's wearing a different unit patch. And obviously the more important people are wearing like SF patches and all that stupid shit.
Ranger.
But like they're in the proper order. And then looking at some of these guys, you kind of believe that that's what they did. Like the 4-star general that's there, he has a long tab, a ranger tab, and fucking, you know, the fucking special forces spade and stuff, and he's got it on both arms. The deployment one, and even in the fucking unit one, which has all this tabs in the right arm, they didn't do this. The neck, the fucking collar patch.
That shit pisses me off.
I hate the fucking fully folded over collar, and I'm like, no one wears it like that.
No.
The only people I've ever seen wear it are fucking crew gunners, so they don't get brass in their kit.
Only time I've ever seen it. Yep.
And but nobody else in the military actually wears shit like that. And the PCs are right. The only one I guess the only thing that looked off was the rank on the chest. But I think 4-star generals kind of have a bigger rank on their chest, so it looks off anyway.
Yeah.
But like the airborne badge, the fucking he had like a Halo badge, an airborne badge, and a combat he had a CIB,
Okay.
and it was all in the proper order.
Yeah.
Everything looked right.
Want to hear some more fucked up shit about this turn?
Yep.
Now, so far, we've got Sarah wearing a bullshit uniform with a bullshit DD214 that she's handing out to fucking everybody and acting the part as if she's fucking Super Sailor Marine. Sarah, go fuck myself. But let's talk about some
Did
other
you hear
things
his
that-
shoulders popping when he did that?
just to keep piling on this massive mountain of human shit. You see, Hunter 7, the fantastic non-for-profit organization that started to figure things out, actually ran a funding campaign to assist her in some of her medical bills, which, by the way, were fake. She faked fucking cancer medical bills. And so well, in fact, that healthcare professionals were looking at it saying, holy shit, that's extremely legitimate. Only a healthcare professional would understand how legitimate this looks.
She went that far into making her medical bills look legit.
I want to know what happened to her.
You would have to know somebody in nursing.
What was her name?
Hint, hint. In order to get this the way that it is. Now, that was only found out
What's her
after
name?
Hunter 7
Sarah
got a hold of
Brugler.
Sarah
Teresa
Kavanaugh.
Said, no, she never showed up here. In fact, Hunter 7 got a hold of a local VA who said, no, we kicked her out. She showed up in the emergency room one time with her fucking DD-214, and we were like, we can't validate your service. You need to beat fucking feet. Holy shit. The VA did something right.
Oh, that's the opposite of what we thought it was. The VA actually fucking
Caught her ass.
caught her ass. Let's see.
Oh, maybe it says right here.
What is this?
Fortnite.
Oh my god, it's an unskippable ad. I hate unskippable ads. And Twitch, by the way, is ramping up on those 8 back-to-back ads that you can't skip, and they're often 30 seconds long, and you can't skip it, and you're just like, you spend like the first fucking
Four or
5 minutes like trying.
Tim Michaels of
All right, I'm tired of the political ads because those are always really long and unskippable. So what's her name? Sarah Kavanaugh. Let's look. Sarah Sarah Rose Kavanaugh? No.
No, below it. No, below it, dork.
Below it.
Yeah, the one that was right underneath that.
Sarah.
Green. Click on that one.
Rhode Island woman admits to falsifying military. This is August of this year. Let me look. So Sarah, a Rhode Island woman admitted today, federal judge, that she falsely claimed to be a cancer-stricken U.S. Marine decorated with a Purple Heart and Bronze Star, and that she used those claims, the stolen identities of actual veterans, and fraudulent documents that she created to obtain hundreds of thousands of dollars in charitable benefits and services intended for injured veterans. Sarah admitted that she falsely portrayed herself as a wounded vet and served overseas, been awarded with a Purple Heart and Bronze Star, replicas of which she purchased and publicly displayed on a U.S. Marine uniform she wore at public events. Let's see. Additionally, Kavanaugh admitted that while employed at the Department of Veteran Affairs, the Rhode Island Veterans VA Medical Center, she used her position as a licensed social worker to gain access to documents, personal information, and medical records belonging to a Marine and Navy veteran who was battling cancer.
She should go to prison.
She should go to. She was a social worker
Right
for
there.
them.
$250,000 in cash.
Yeah, and she admitted to use this information to create fraudulent documents and medical records in her own name, indicating that she was honorably discharged Marine stricken with cancer. In addition, Kavanaugh admitted that she created to use the fraudulent documents in various schemes to obtain more than $250,000 in cash, charitable donations, and services reserved for injured vets. Oh, my God. So every day, thousands of American men honorably serve this country in uniform, said U.S. Attorney. The sacrifice for our safety, putting themselves in harm's way, often without praise or public recognition, and they deserve our thanks and our respect. This defendant sought to trade on that respect she did not earn, evoked by a Marine in which she had no claim, by pretending that she was a United States Marine battling stage 4 cancer in order to trick generous members of the public into lining her pockets. Her conduct is disgraceful and richly warrants her conviction today as a federal felon.
Good.
And let's see, this is the FBI talking about it said. So under the terms of the plea agreement reached in July 1st, Kavanaugh has agreed to the final amount of the restitution owed to her victims will be determined by the court at the time of sentencing. She also has agreed, however, that $82,000, whatever amount, which represents her proceeds from her recent sale of real estate, will be applied towards her restitution obligations. At the time of sentencing, Kavanaugh faces a mandatory minimum sentence of 2 years imprisonment, which she will be served consecutively, and any other sentence imprisonment the court may impose. Kavanaugh's final sentence will be determined by a federal judge after consideration of the U.S. sentencing guidelines and other. That's still yet to come November.
Literally a month and a day from now.
Yeah, exactly like that. Dude, fucking stolen valor. It's one thing when someone's at a bar saying some shit. It's another when you are taking money and benefits from vets that need it.
That actually need it.
It is fucking wild that you would go that far. And it's like, I don't understand the reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
I really don't. I mean, and there's a lot of people that will bolster their fucking service to be more than really what it was. I'm not one to do that. I used to. I admit that I used to. Because it's like, I had nothing really cool going on, so I'm just like, hey, I didn't really do anything cool. I just went to Ukraine, and I was a paratrooper, and like my job was to forward observer. I worked with Air Force JTACs. I dropped bombs on ship, but I never was in combat doing
never
this.
actually utilize it in the field.
I mean, I was over in like various operations in the Baltics to like, during the Russian thing, doing these things, but I wasn't doing them in an operational environment. I was doing them in training. Were they awesome? Fuck yeah, they were awesome. It was so much fun to do this shit. That's what I talk about. I'm like, I didn't really actually use this on people. I just did it a lot, and it was a lot of fucking fun because it was.
All I did was security details and field. Go in the field a lot. That's it.
And to me, like my experience, like, I got to go overseas, got to go to other countries, I got to do some cool shit. But in the full grand scheme of it, compared to most service people, I didn't do really much of anything.
A lot of service people don't anymore.
No, they don't, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to not do as much as you thought you would.
It's better for your mental health, to be quite honest with you.
To be accepting of that.
Yeah.
No, it's not experiencing
accepting
that
of it too.
Yeah, not experiencing that stuff is probably better. And I know me, had I had deployed, I probably would be a very different person.
Yeah.
Actually, I definitely would be a very different person. Very different person.
Yeah, I mean, my deployment wasn't hostile. Well, I mean, it could have been because I was in a Middle Eastern country, but it wasn't. And parts of me, like you said, I mean, I'm happy it wasn't, but a part of me always will wish that I actually experienced what, combat MOS wants to experience. Once you experience it, though, most people say that you're better off not.
I read something where it was the reason why people that join and don't do that stuff get really frustrated is because you really only join to experience the second of the mysteries of man. First one is sex, and the second one is killing.
And we kind of do a lot of that in the military.
And you do that a lot of that in the military, but a lot of it is the first one and not so much the second one, especially now.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I will admit, why did I join a combat MOS? I didn't join it to fucking hang out and play video games all day.
Exactly.
I joined it to kill people.
That's exactly why
and
I joined it.
I joined it to fucking specifically kill terrorists.
Yeah.
Like that's why I did it. And I didn't get to do that. Am I upset about it? Yeah. Am I glad I didn't? Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like the experience that these guys had is an experience that I did not get. And it bothered me. So that's why I talk to a therapist now. And then especially like, because I'm going to be talking to Rocco and stuff, and the dude's a fucking ranger. He's been on multiple combat deployments in his entire career.
Yep.
And I'm going to have an interview with the guy, and I'm just like thinking to myself, I'm like, I am not worthy for this fucking conversation. That's how I feel about it. And then especially,
all right.
Especially even like with the regiment shit that I'm doing. So like I am trying to help people that have been through that.
Yeah.
Without have been through it myself.
But they still respect you in the fact that you were in. It's easier for a veteran to trust another veteran than a veteran to speak to a social worker that never experienced the military as a whole.
That's true.
That comes into play a lot with my job field too. Because again, I'm not a combat veteran.
And a lot of your clients are.
Yeah. But the fact that I still was in, even though I did a non-combat deployment, they respect the fact that, hey, you're still a veteran. You still join. A lot of the time, people serve in the 80s. There was nothing going on in the 80s. They feel as if that they're not worthy for anything. And I work with a lot of people from the 80s. They're like, I don't even think I qualify for anything. I'm like, well, little do you know, there are things that you qualify for. And a lot of them always...
And the service time was shorter in the 80s.
Yeah, you have to serve for at least 2 years during a non-combat
I think the contracts were only 2 years.
There's some contracts for 2 years now, too, but that's a whole different story. Now it's just 90 days in service is all you need. But, again, a lot of these people that's like, yeah, I joined, there was no war. I'm like, but you still joined willing to fight for your country.
In case there was one.
A war. You had been, you trained for everything you possibly could just in case there was one. Therefore, you should be proud of what you've done.
And then it just so happens that you left, and then another one came, but you were out. You missed it.
You did your time.
You did your time, and nothing happened, and you're like, well, I guess nothing's happening, and then you got out.
But like again, people from the 80s hold that against themselves because.
And I understand that.
I do too, but you're still were willing to fight for your country if something happened. And that's where a lot of them don't see eye to eye with it.
Yeah, there's even a lot of, unfortunately, there's a lot of vets that did do that shit that make guys that didn't do that shit feel really bad about themselves for not doing it.
You know what?
And I hate those guys. I
would
fucking
just tell
hate
them to shut the fuck up. Because honestly, a buddy of mine, the one that runs Project Refit, me and him literally have had talks about this before. And a lot of vets that did serve during a period where they didn't experience combat, Dan is happy. He's like, I don't want anyone to have to experience that. Because Dan's a combat veteran. He's like, you know, you shouldn't have survivor's guilt for it.
Yeah.
It's not like you didn't choose to not go overseas. It just so happened that you were a part of a unit that never went. And in a way, you should still be proudful that you served because you were so willing to do it if you had to.
Yeah. I was talking to my psychiatrist who was he was in the Army, and he was the one that would, was helping me with the sleep stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what he did, but I think he did some pretty fucking high speed shit because he was a paratrooper. But I honestly think he was with group.
Yeah.
I asked him what he did, and he's like, I don't really talk about what I did. He wouldn't tell me. I just gathered the fact that he mentioned the pipeline and that how when I went through the pipeline, it was like this, and then one of his buddies was asking him about the pipeline. And for those that don't know, the pipeline is selection Q course.
Yeah.
So that tells me he went through the pipeline. He was with group.
Dude's a fucking badass.
Or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, I did talk to him about it, like how like my unit was the most deployed unit to Afghanistan when I joined. And I got there and they were in Afghanistan. And then those deployments stopped when they came back. No more. That was the last one. But we kept training and training and training, getting ready for war with Russia and shit or anything that could happen. And I told him, I was like, it was like we were getting blue balled.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's exactly what it is. Like you train to do something and you never get to do it and then you leave. So it's like you're getting ready to fuck and then you just go home and then you didn't fuck and then you just sit there and think about like, I didn't fuck.
I mean, that's how it was for my deployment. We were in the Middle East and
nothing happened. This was Iraq, right?
We were primarily in Kuwait.
So
our unit would go in and out of Iraq all the time.
Yeah, that was the thing. That's around the end of the Iraq. Nothing was happening in Iraq anymore.
There was nothing. Primarily based out of Kuwait. I mean, pretty much everybody, we stayed there, but we would take, Blackhawks, Chinooks in and out of Iraq, just doing security detail missions and stuff like that. Most of the deployment, we were in the south. Towards the end, we were up in the north of Kuwait on the border. Camp Beering, it's a big shithole. And we really didn't do a whole lot, but just train. And
that's how Ukraine was.
There was the situation where, hey, we might go to Afghanistan. Hey, we might just go stay in Iraq.
There was a lot of that, too.
We might go do this. We might go do that. But my BC was more focused on the training aspect and gave up the mission, because we had the mission to go to Afghanistan when we were there. Gave it up to one of our sister battalions in our brigade.
That was kind of what happened with us, with the 173rd.
Yeah.
So, like, our battalion and brigade team, like our whole staff, we're from Ranger Bat. So they wanted to change the 173rd's mission statement to do airfield seizures. So they wanted to get us doing what Ranger Bat does without being Ranger Bat.
Yeah.
So we just did a lot of that. And then there was an opportunity for us to go to Afghanistan. And that word spread like fucking wildfire throughout the entire battalion. All they were talking about was like, there's finally going to be an Afghanistan deployment coming. But it's up to the command to take it. And they didn't take it. So there was that there was this, hey, we're going to go to Afghanistan. No, we're not. Hey, we're going to go to Afghanistan. No, we're not. There was a lot of back and forth with that. And then instead, we ended up going to fucking Ukraine.
Yeah.
Then we're going to go to Syria. No, now we're not. Now we're going to go to Syria. We almost jumped into Syria. That was a wild fucking night. So Assad gassed his people. This is when ISIS was really fucking pushing into Syria. Or this is when the Syria civil war really kind of was ramping up before ISIS. Assad gassed his people, and we were just getting into the airfield seizure shit.
Yeah.
And this was like, we were on standby for like overseas contingency shit. 2:00 in the morning, my phone's blasting. I wake up to say, get your shit. We're going to the arms room. Buses are spotting at this time. We're going to go to the fucking Paha. We're going to get rigged up. And I'm like, where the fuck are we going? And they're like, don't know yet. But the only thing that was happening was Syria. And this is right after he gassed his people. And Obama had warships going to Syria at this time.
Yeah.
So by the time that we got on the buses, we're on our way to fucking Aviano Air Base. Warships are parked outside of Syria. We get to Aviano. We're sitting there waiting to be told to rig up. And then Assad backed down. And then they said, we were supposed to go to Syria. We're not now. Get back on the bus. We went right back.
You're going back home. See you at PT at 06.
Like this, yeah, essentially that's what it was. It was like, we'll get back. Duty day starts at this time. It was like business as usual that day. We get back. It was kind of a quiet day. Next day was business as usual again, PT in the morning. And it was so pissed because we actually went to the arms room, got our weapons, got on the buses, on our way to Aviano. The only thing we had to do was rig up, and the C-130s were there waiting. And it was waiting for the word. And then the word was stand down. Fuck. Didn't get to do that. Then we did go to Ukraine. There was fighting in Ukraine, but we were on the very fucking northeast, and the fighting was all over in the west. I'm sorry. We were in the northwest. Fighting was in the east.
Yeah.
So we were just up in northwest Ukraine, training the fucking Ukrainians, sending them out to fucking western or eastern Ukraine, and it was close to the Russian border. So we could see the Russians training as well. They were getting ready. They were just posturing.
Hey.
It was weird.
Yeah.
There's something that happened this happened like after.
Okay.
It was the company that went and replaced us.
Yeah.
They had a fucking Russian spy run from the training camp.
Like from the Ukrainian one?
Yeah. So apparently it was very, very, very embedded into our brains before we went. Do not really talk to these guys about stuff because there have been reports of Russian infiltrators within the Ukrainian training. And it was very common for some of these guys to actually be Russian soldiers that were just trying to see what the training was. And then they would flee and go report it because we were so close to the Russian border.
Yeah.
So there was an incident where they were all formed up, doing a briefing about what the training was going to be. And then some guy just fucking sprinted, just left, ran out,
probably like
jumped out. That's exactly what they said. They were kind of like looking around like, the fuck is that guy doing? And he just came out of the formation and just fucking bolted to the gate and ran out. And everyone's just like, the fuck was that? Yeah. And then one of the Ukrainian officers was like, Russian spy probably.
Yeah, no big deal.
And he was like, this is a Russian spy. I'm like, okay.
Thanks. Should we like get that guy or let him go?
Nah, they just kind of let him go. I mean, it didn't really fucking go in their favor anyway. So, I mean, the OPSEC was a huge thing. And we're telling us, don't tell your family you're going to Ukraine. Then the news broke that we were going to Ukraine anyway. So it was like, don't talk about anything that we're doing. Just don't even tell people we're going to Ukraine. Because the tensions were that high at that time.
News media always finds out fucking everything.
They do.
Anyways.
They definitely always find out. I mean, it's usually the DOD tells them. So, like, they kept it a huge fucking secret, and the DOD told them anyway.
Yeah.
So it was like, we weren't even in the country for a day. And the fucking... we weren't even in the country yet. We were getting ready to leave. And the news popped that U.S. forces are going to Ukraine.
Can I tell my mom I'm going there now, or
at that point, no one gave a fuck. So they just told them, "Hey, we're going to Ukraine," and everyone was like, "Oh my god!"
That's how it was for our deployment. You can't tell anyone where we're going yet. Blah blah blah. It was like 5,000 troops from El Paso, Texas, on their next rotation, our next deployment to Kuwait and Iraq and the Middle East, and our battalion was all over the Middle East. We weren't just located just out of Kuwait.
Yeah.
People UAE, fucking Iraq, Afghanistan, everywhere. We have people go to Egypt.
Yeah, that's another popular one. Africa is also very popular.
Oh, 100%.
My old guard unit's in Africa right now. The first guard unit I went to, they're doing nothing. They're doing Warfighter. You ever heard of Warfighter? So it's like a fucking notional training op where they just sit in a computer room all day. This fucking war game.
I mean, that's kind of cool, I guess.
It's not. It sucks. I did one in Fort Riley, but they're in Africa doing it.
Is it like I think it's called Bats or something like that.
Something.
It's like a computer game for Bradley fighting vehicles.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Not like that. It was not. It was literally you're looking at a map and making fucking map symbols and shit, and then just you're not actually like simulating what's going on. You're just simulating a strategy, and then briefing it. That's all it is.
Oh, thank you.
And you find out how stupid people really are during that, because when I went to the warfighter exercise in Fort Riley, one of the commanders was like, why can't we just get AC-130? Because we were talking about North Korea at the time. This was during the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
And tensions were high in North Korea. Our warfighter was about North Korea. Like, what if a war broke out? What would we do? Blah, blah, blah.
I mean, they're getting jumpy again.
And they were talking about, hey, we're sending our engineers to this point, stuff. And, we're going to this point to kind of like basically create a road.
Mm-hmm.
And they said if they were to get into contact, they would use UAS, unmanned aerial systems, as an air support asset. You know what their air support asset was for the unmanned aircraft? It was a Raven. Do you know what a Raven is?
They're little small ones, aren't they?
The paper airplane?
Yeah.
So their Raven would be their air support. And I said, your air support's a Raven? They said, yeah. I'm like, do you know what a Raven is? Like, no, I just know it's a UAS. I'm like, a Raven is a paper airplane. It has no ordnance.
It's like that big.
I said, this isn't fucking Black Ops where you're throwing a fucking an RCXD flying in the air.
No, it's literally like this big.
The body of it's like that big. The wingspan's pretty big, but other than that, it's got very little range. It has no assets on it. It's just a camera that flies. That's it.
That's it.
And they thought it was an actual like UAV drone, like a Predator. And I was like, that's not what that is. And I had,
Are you sure about that?
and these were the MPs that apparently use them a lot. This is one of their fucking recon assets that they have. They're fucking to go see shit. They are supposed to be trained on these Ravens, and they think that was going to do something. They never, and come to find out, none of them had actually ever seen one. And I was like, what the fuck? And then the full bird colonel was like, why can't we just get AC-130s involved? And I was like, because it's 2:00 in the afternoon, and that is not how AC, and it's a very high AA environment, because the North Koreans, because we get actionable intel on where their bunkers were and their guns were, their AA guns, and looking at it, they had AA scattered everywhere.
Oh, I believe it, dude.
Everywhere. And and they're like, why can't we use AC-130s? I'm like, because it's in the afternoon in a high visible situation, and there is AA all over the fucking place. Like, you couldn't pay these pilots enough to fucking fly out there. They would tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yeah, we're not going to die right now.
And AC-130s are a special operations asset. They're only on call for you if they are the only asset in the area at the time. And they're not tied up in a mission at the moment.
Yeah, they're typically always
the situation has to be perfect. Low light, not being utilized, and they're the only asset that you have.
They're pretty sick inside.
I know they are. As a JFO, AC-130s was one of my trained assets to use.
I believe it.
So we had to know the different platforms for the AC-130, but we also knew that we would never use one.
Yeah.
Same with naval guns. We knew that we would never have to use them because no one does that anymore, unfortunately. We still do, but it's all missiles. It's not like naval guns. So it's not like the fucking 7-inch gun anymore.
Yeah.
But in the battleships don't even have like the cool guns on them anymore. That's the fucking the 8-inch guns with the fucking 50 barrels coming off the side.
Original battleships are no longer even.
Like the fucking 7-inch gun is literally just a turret at the front that just turns and shoots a big round. Sure, it's great, it's big, but the problem is like there's a whole bunch of shit that goes into it.
One big round or 100 smaller rounds firing at once.
Exactly. So I've only ever heard of one time that the guys in the 173rd got their hands on an AC-130, and it just so happened that they were just doing an Overwatch mission with a nearby group, SF group, and they were RTB.
Yeah,
and it just so happened that the infantry guys of the 173rd took contact, and the only air asset they had that was nearby was an AC-130.
Can you imagine the hardness of your cock at that time, knowing you get to use that?
Oh my God. I always wonder about the fucking TACP that got the approval for the Moab in Afghanistan. Requested a Moab and it got approved, and he was like, I was kidding, but okay.
Yeah, sure.
It's just like,
We'll use it.
Oh my God, we have a Moab and I got approval. Let's fucking go.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, this me being the FO. I'm just like, God, my dick would have been leaking at that point. I would have been like, oh my God.
Imagine being able to tell that story. You're the one guy that's actually
The one guy that got to use a Moab in the entire war in Afghanistan, and fucking the largest non-nuclear weapon that we have.
I have some guys I've talked to that were in Afghanistan at the time. Night turned into day.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it did.
Yeah. They're like, we didn't know what the fuck was happening. I was outside on guard, and the entire fucking sky turned into daytime.
It lit up for a bit, and it was just like, what the fuck was that?
They're like, oh, you fucking heard it. You just don't know what the fuck happened. And it's
And then
fucking daytime
Then
now.
it came down the line that a Moab was dropped,
Yeah.
the largest non-nuclear bomb that we have.
No big deal. No big dick.
No, yeah, fucking, and the purpose of that bomb is nuts. It's a high burst bomb. It detonates above the ground. Like, it doesn't impact, it detonates above the ground, and its entire purpose is to completely destroy tunnel systems.
I wonder what the radius is of that.
It's big. It's big. Let me look.
God, that would be
Moab
something.
Moab radius 1 mile.
Could you imagine?
Moab has a blast radius of 1 mile and a yield equivalent to 11 tons or 22,000 pounds of TNT. For a sense of scale, let's compare the Moab and the most destructive single weapon systems in the Second World War. I thought there'd be like different photos of that. Mother of all bombs, how powerful is the U.S. mega weapon? Yeah, 2017 when they dropped it. It's a huge it's a thick boy. It's a thick boy. Blast radius of, this is the father, it's the Russian version. GBU 43B Moab. Fucking insane. Look at that fucking thing. Absolute unit.
Just imagine that. Imagine that.
It uses a parachute on its way down, so it can actually be effective. It resembles a daisy cutter.
What
That's
drops
cool.
that?
A B-52 or a B-1.
It's fucking nuts.
B-52, B-2, or B-1. Those are the only ones that can really drop it. It's not a penetrator weapon. It's primarily an airburst bomb intended for soft, medium surface targets covering extended areas of targets contain environments such as a deep canyon or within a cave system. High altitude carpet bombing. So designed to use against a specific target, cannot by itself replicate the effects of a typical heavy bomber mission. I think that we only made 18 of them, and we used one, so the other one's expired. Here's the video of it.
Expired? I'm sure they could still fucking...
Here's the video of it. And granted, that's infrared, but you can see the trees getting sucked into you can see all this shit getting sucked in.
What do you think the FO was?
Huh?
What do you think the FO was?
Usually with JTACs and stuff, they're not even on the ground.
Oh, no.
They're looking through the camera. Usually they get a Blue Force tracker to see who all's, like, what are the closest friendly elements. It's not a guided bomb. Well, actually, it is a guided bomb, but it's a GPS guided bomb, not a laser guided bomb. So they can just put in a coordinate from the aircraft, because the aircraft pods have more accurate grid location than like a ground laser.
It's fucking nuts.
And basically the controller on the ground is not even anywhere close. He's on a fob looking at a raid camera. Like he's looking at a camera feed from the aircraft. They get the grid, check for friendlies in the area. No one's there. Cool. And the funny thing is, the Moab was dropped in response to an SF group that took contact, and one of their guys got killed.
It's like, fuck everything in this area.
And they're like, we're tired of this shit. So let's wrap this up. We're going on 3.5 hours now.
Ain't no big deal.
Ain't no big deal. It's just another fat ass episode. I've been trying to keep them down to 2.5 hours or 2 hours at the most.
I'm a first timer, you know.
I know you're first time ones are always long. Especially when Doc came back after being gone for almost 6 months. That one was a long one. The last couple episodes are long, so But anyway, if you made it this far, I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thanks for joining me, Mike. Glad to have you here. It's
happy to
fucking
be here.
finally you got to be on the
Been trying to be here for
podcast.
2 months now.
I've been trying to coordinate this for a couple months, and you finally made it. And
For once.
that mostly happened because Nelson didn't respond, and I was just like, well, Mike's been wanting to get on. I want to get him on here.
No big dick.
Big dick at all. So we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Love y'all. Have a good
sir.
night.
Bye.
Bye.